Hey everybody, today we're debating whether or not Islam promotes sex slavery, and we're starting right now with Nadir's opening statement. Thanks for being with us. Nadir, the floor is all yours.
All right, thank you very much. I'm just going to share my screen for my presentation here. So let me know if it's coming up over here. So I think we should start off by talking about get a definition of what is sex slavery. And so I'm just going to go to Encyclopedia Britannica. Sex slavery is basically is where a human being is forced to work in the sex trade, activities like prostitution, pornography, child sex, is some of the activities they would engage in, sex tourism, modeling. This is all condemned by the Holy Quran inside chapter 24, verse 33 of the Quran, talking about the women captives. And do not compel your slave girls to prostitution if they desire chastity. Thereby thereby the temporary interests of this world. So that blows away a lot of this idea of sex slavery in Islam. But what about force? What about women captives of war who are basically prisoners of wars? You know, what about a man forcing himself on that? Islam actually prohibits that as well. Islam protected the captives, women captives, in three main ways. Number one, the non-consenting slave girls, I'll show you three of them, were not forced into any kind of sexual behavior. Islam created a safe environment for protection and support of them. And finally, Islam abolished rape as a weapon of war, which was so prevalent and common throughout the ages. All civilian women and children were protected from sex slavery. So entrance into sex slavery was completely cut off. So let's take a look at three slave girls, captive of wars, which and who are non-consenting. They don't want to do any of this sexual behavior. Let's take a look. Now I'm going to go through this very fast because I'm just going to. I want you to just basically look at my slides and get the references. This is from Sirah Ibn Ishaq, page 415. I'm going to paraphrase this very quickly here. So two slave girls were presented to the Prophet of Islam. One of them was named Safiya, and there was another one. Now, one of them began throwing dust on her head, and she was wailing. She was in a bad mood there. Look what the prophet did. He put her aside. He said, "Get this she devil away from me." The non consenting slave girl was put aside, even though that's his property now, right? He went with a consenting one, which was Safiya. And Safiya then informed him that Muhammad was a fulfillment of his dream of the moon coming into her lap. And then we read furthermore inside Ibn Sa'd. He said, listen, I'll give you a choice. If you want, you can cling to Judaism, and I'll send you right back to your people, as you can see on the screen right over here. Or you could stay. She says, no, I have no desire for Judaism, and she wanted to remain. She wanted to be a Muslim. So as we could see over here, she was clearly given a choice. The non-consenting individual was basically dismissed. So the problem here is, and the problem with heated debate and people like him, is that they are reading passages in our scriptures which talks about having sex with these women captive. So they make that false assumption, oh, it's rape. It's all rape. But as we can see here, if you just read the text, there is no rape. So let's take a look at Rehana, another slave woman who was presented to the Prophet of Islam. Just hit pause on your video to get my references. But she didn't like Islam. So what did Muhammad do? He put her aside. Second example. If the first one wasn't clear, I hope the second one is clear. So he put her aside. Let's look at another captive of war, Juwaira. Juwaira was basically the captive of war, or the captive of war. She was presented to somebody she did not like. But look at this. She goes to Muhammad and said, "I don't like this guy." And so Prophet Muhammad said, "Well, can I offer myself?" She said, "Yeah, I'll take that." So what's the sunnah here? What's the point here? Women who object to the person they're paired up with, do they have the right to say, "No, I don't want to be with this guy"? Absolutely. Absolutely. And somebody who they like can be then offered to them. The three girls captive of wars, which clearly shows what is a prophetic example. One, so a woman is non-consenting, as I showed you in the case of the other girl was Safiya, Rayhana, Juwaira. If they're non-consenting, you stay away from them, give them options. Well, maybe you could be with this person. Can I set you free if you don't want to be here? So as we could see, there's no sex slavery in Islam. But it goes more than that. Islam also created a safe environment for these women captives of war. All forms of violence is condemned against slave girls. It says over here, some of the youngest of us slapped a slave girl. Allah's messenger commanded us to set her free. In the following hadith, it says, anybody who beats or slaps a slave is the punishment is to set them free. And another one, if you beat a slave, you burn in hell. The gates of hell will be open up to you. I know I'm going through this very quickly, guys. I apologize. But just hit pause on your YouTube screen to get all my references. So that right there destroys any act of sex slavery, or you could say rape. How are you going to rape a person if you can't even slap them? I mean, it's very, very, very difficult. So tonight we're debating, does Islam promote sex slavery? Well, if you can't beat them, if you can't slap them, then you're not going to get very far with them. So that's how Islam creates that safe environment. Second thing, the Prophet Muhammad said, for the slave girls, you give them the best education possible. Let us see what it says. Whoever has a slave girl who teaches her good manners and educates her, it says educates her, but in the Arabic, what it actually says, gives her the best education, sets her free, and marries her, he will have two rewards. So while they're in this temporary captivity, they are to get what? The best education. And this is one of the miracles of Islam, because that's just not from this century. That's not from the 7th century. I'm sorry, that's not from the 7th century. That's not from the 12th century. People didn't think like this, that you're going to look at this picture. This is what people believed in about slaves, that you just whip him, beat him, not give him the best education. You know what happens when you educate women? They know their rights. You know what happens when you educate women? It's very hard to oppress them, because they're going to be writing books, refutation, they're going to know the system. The last thing you want to do is educate a slave. So this shows you that these are not teachings of the 7th century. These are the teachings of some greater power. Because people in the 7th century, people in the 18th century could never imagine that you would educate a slave. It destroys the entire foundation of slavery. And you don't beat them, you educate them. How bad is this going to get for the slave master? And then the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that if any one-on-one visitations at any time with the highest leader of the state, which was him, he says any female slave of Medina could take a hold of his hand, of Allah's messenger, and take him wherever she wished. So this is an opportunity where she could report any kind of bad behavior, misbehavior, someone trying to force herself on her. Hey, hold on a second. I want to go to Muhammad. I'd like to talk to him. And that's the number one reason why you don't find any rape or sex slavery in Islam. Could you imagine you have somebody in your house who has direct access to President Biden? How good will you be with that person? Very good. That's why when you read the hadith, you will never find an example of women being forced into marriage. I mean, forced into sex. And eventual freedom. We'll get to that, but I'm getting short on time, so I need to go on to my third point. Islam abolish rape as a weapon of war. Let's take a look. This is just an example. If you just do history of sex slavery during war, just recently in 1931, over 50 to 200,000 Chinese women were raped by Japanese soldiers. Muhammad abolished this practice. Listen to what the Prophet says over here. Upon attacking the city of Medina, this was basically a war which took place, he says, whoever enters the house of Abu Sufyan will be safe. Whoever lays down his arms will be safe. Whoever locks his door in the house. And where are the women? Women are in the homes. There's no need to barricade yourself. Just lock your door, stay out of the roads. They will all be safe. So some people didn't like that. They said, "Oh, you got a soft heart, don't you, for those women and children?" They wanted to enter into the home and do God knows what. I don't know. But look what Muhammad said. He says, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?" And they backed off and they apologized. "Oh, I'm so sorry." Those are the words consistent with what a true prophet. He stood by his grounds. And then finally, there were people who had sexual deviation. This one person here from, again, quoting from Sirah ibn Ishaq, he says, "I can't control myself around Byzantine women." So now what does he do? Does he just say, "Oh, well, where we're going, you're going to get a lot of those girls"? No. Prophet of Islam dismissed him. This is from Sirah ibn Ishaq. The reference is on the screen. Notice a person who had sexual deviation was dismissed. So this is how Islam protected women in war by getting rid of, and if you look in the churches, what do they do if you find a sexual deviant? They move them to another church. But what did Muhammad do? He kicked him out. And people normally didn't get an excuse to leave the army. You had to go to battle if you are able and ready. So these are the three ways of how Islam protected women. And so when my opponent comes up, it says, "Look, there are women who are having sex with their slave girls. This is rape." And he makes that false assumption. I want everybody here to have a good laugh at him, because we now know that Islam protected these women from the prophetic example. Non-consenting slave girls, stay away from them, give them options, set them free, create that safe environment, give them the best education, no violence at all. And then finally, all what during battle, all the people, please just enter your homes and you will be safe. Nobody is allowed to enter into the homes of the neighborhoods and villages. And that's how Islam abolished slavery. Sex slavery. So that's what I have, and I'll turn it over to heated debate.
Thanks for that opening. We are going to kick it over to heated debate indeed. And if you want to do me a favor, Nadir, and stop sharing, I am going to remind you folks just a couple of quick things. We have a live debate. So if you happen to have questions, you can feel free to submit them in the old live chat. And the way to do that is by either tagging me with @ModernDayDebate, or if you have a super chat, those go to the top of the list. Also, I'm going to put a poll in the live chat right now on what you think is the case. Oh, if you can just wait just a moment for me. I'm still doing. All right, I'll just stop it there. Okay. But want to say, folks, I'm going to put that poll in the live chat right now. So, over at Modern Day Debate, hit that poll if you'd like to put your vote in on today's topic. And with that, we're going to kick it over to Heated Debates for his open statement as well. Heated Debates, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, James. And I would like to say namaste to all the audience. And before I start my presentation, I would like to debunk three of his very blatant lies that he told in his presentation. So the first girl that he talked about whom Muhammad said to put her aside, right?
And then
She
if you,
was crying.
pardon, sorry for my interruption. If you want to use your share screen, you can. It does not show right now, just so you know.
Okay, no issues. So the first girl that Nadir talked about, she was crying because his family and his tribe member were being beheaded in front of him. And Muhammad just said that he actually abused him and asked him to be put aside. So that is not a saying that he was not going to have sex with her. So get that straight. He lied there blatantly. And uh, the education that Muhammad Sahab is talking about in that hadith is about the education in Islam, educate them about Islam and bring them into Islam. They're not talking about uh, telling them about human rights and slave rights and stuff. That hadith clearly in Arabic says to educate them about Islam and bring them into Islam, not about anything else. And the third lie that he said that the guy who said women are my weakness when Muhammad was going to attack Byzantine, he said that Muhammad dismissed him from Islam. No, he did not dismiss him from Islam because he said that he was tempted by women. He dismissed him because he was not wanting to go for jihad. And who was the guy who gave him that temptation? That was Muhammad. That can be clearly seen in the tafsir of Wahidi for the ayat 941, where Muhammad is tempting him to attack on Byzantine because then he'd be getting blonde women as captives. Let me show you before I start my presentation, just to give you a better idea of what Mr. Nadir here is trying to do. Okay, we can come to that later. You can just check it, and it is in the tafsir, in all the tafsirs actually. But in Wahidi, it is mentioned very clearly that Muhammad was the guy who was tempting that man, and he was dismissed because he denied to go in jihad. So after debunking his lies, I would like to start with my presentation. Here's a definition of a sex slave from Cambridge: a person who is forced to perform sexual acts and who is not free to leave the place where they are being kept or to stop the work that they are being forced to do. That is the definition of a sex slave according to Cambridge. And I am going to prove that Islam endorses each and every word of this definition. First, I'd like to start with this photo because last time I tried to give my Momin friends some stats and they did not seem to get it at all. So now I'm going to use pictures. Were these slave women raped? Yes, they were. He tried showing some hadiths, some lesser known hadiths, but I'm showing you hadiths. I'm giving you the references from hadiths of Siyasitta, that being a Sahih Muslim 1456a, where Muhammad Sahib is clearly allowing men of his army to rape the captive women. The same is mentioned in 1456t, where it is mentioned that yes, you can have sex with those women even if their husbands are still alive. You can check all these references. In 1438a of Sahih Muslim and Bukhari 2229, it is clearly mentioned that they had sex with those captive women and then sold them. I can show you all the references if my friend Nadir asks for them. And then in Bukhari 1350, you can clearly read that Ali was sent to bring some slave girls with him. And he couldn't control himself and he had sex with them in the way. And even Muslims of that time opposed to that. But what did Muhammad say? He deserves a lot more than that. He just raped a few girls. That does nothing. Ali deserves a lot more than that. I can show you all the hadiths if Nadir asks about them. In Sahih Muslim 1755, it is there's this guy who has captured a very beautiful girl and he has dragged her with him to Makkah. And Muhammad Sahib is asking that guy to give that girl to him so that he could free up some Muslims in as a exchange of prisoner of war. But he said, no, Muhammad, I haven't yet had sex with her, so I cannot give it to you today. Then Muhammad Saab leaves him there and comes back again tomorrow. Then he takes that girl with him and he exchanges some Muslims as prisoners of war against that girl. The worst part is that in 949, if you want to see it, I would show it to you right now. Tafsir Wahidi and Ibn Kasir and any tafsir writer has mentioned about the guy that Nadir mentioned. He didn't want to go to jihad. But then Muhammad says that you would be getting blonde women, really cute blonde women to have sex with. Then the guy says that I am very tempted by, nothing tempts me more than women of European origin. Then the ayah comes that whoever denies to go to jihad is a munafiq and he shall burn in fire because he denied to go to that war. And who was tempting him with the women? It was Muhammad himself. But before moving on, I think I should show that hadith to everybody. This is tafsir. Let me see. Let me see. Where's the tafsir? Okay, just a moment. I'd open the tafsir for you. I'm stopping the screen here just to because I think that would be a very good presentation just to debunk Nadir right here. It is Quran X. Let me just. Okay. Okay, just give me some more time because I just want to show that hadith to everybody because that Muhammad was tempting that guy with girls so that he would join him in that jihad in that war on Byzantine. So that reference is very important, and I must show that to people just to show that what things, what lies people like Nadir have to tell to the audience to convince them. Just a moment. I did not keep that reference handy. I don't think I didn't think that Nadir would be lying so much. So just a moment. I'd be needing some time. Bring out that tafsir. Just a moment. Thank you. So look, who is tempting that guy with women of Byzantine? Oh, Abu Wahab, would you not like to have scores of Byzantine women? And let me just. I know that I am a very okay Byzantine women and men as concubines and servants. He said, O Messenger of Allah, my people know that I am very fond of women and I see the women of Byzantines. I fear I will not be able to hold back, so I do not tempt. So do not tempt me by them. He is saying to the Prophet that do not tempt me by them. I don't want to go to jihad. I don't want to go to kill their people to get those blonde European women. And who's the guy tempting? That is dear Messenger of Allah. He said, "Oh Abu Wahab, would you not like to have scores of Byzantine women?" And he's saying, "Do not tempt me, Rasulullah, because you know what my weakness. I don't want to kill people for women." So just an reference, and that is Asbabul Nazul by Al-Wahidi in his tafsir of Quranic ayah 949. That is what the story is saying, telling in that Sirah is talking about. That's the complete story. So Muhammad used to tempt his people to go to war. So they would get women in return, blonde European women in return to have sex with. And his people are saying to not tempt him, tempt them. But yet again, and he says that sex slavery, is not endorsed by Islam. If my time isn't over, I would go back to my presentation. Forget about education. They were killed. They were being raped, as I have given the references, dozens of references about them being raped in front of their husbands. In fact, they were fed rotting date soups that Rasulullah wished to throw. That is what the servants were fed. They were being beaten for dressing up like free women, for covering their breast. They were beaten by Umar. And after they were killed for disagreeing with their masters. If you want the references, I can give you the references. It is in Sunan Abi Dawud, a very prominent hadith where a blind man killed his killed mother of his children just for saying bad stuff about Rasulullah because he gave her to a blind man who was having sex with her and making children with her. He killed her for disagreeing with him and saying stuff about Rasulullah, and he was not punished by Rasulullah. He said no punishment is to be put on that blind man who has just killed mother of his children, who was a slave actually. And if for all that was happening to those slaves, if they tried to run away, they were beheaded. References Sunan al-Nasai 4050, completely good hadith. And he talked about Rasulullah eventually freed them. No, Rasulullah was actually against freeing slaves, as is mentioned in Sunan Abi Dawud, Sahih al-Bukhari, 3955, 3956. It could be actually Sunan Abi Dawud. I'm mistaking it here. Sahih Muslim 1602 and Bukhari 2594. When a family member of Rasulullah tried to free a slave, he said that you shouldn't be freeing him. You should, her actually, it was a slave girl. You should give it to your maternal uncle so that they can enjoy her, basically. And it is in Bukhari 2594. Sunan al-Nasai, when a man freed 6 slaves, Rasulullah re-enslaved 4 of them because he didn't actually like Muslims to have less slaves. And the things he talks about that for a lot of things you have to free slaves. Let me just put forth this argument. You have to pay fine for a few deeds that you do according to the present law. That is not at all discouraging you from earning money. So in fact, it actually encourages you to have a lot of slaves because freeing them for certain things lets you get away from that fire of Allah, from that punishment where it is mentioned actually that a chain would be put from you behind and pulled out of your mouth. It lets you bypass that punishment if you have slaves. So it actually encourages people to have a lot of slaves. So all these references do show that Rasulullah was not in favor of freeing slaves. In fact, he sold slaves, and in African countries, they go around saying that Christians discriminate according to the skin of people. But it's in their hadiths that they used to buy one white slave, one Arabian white slave for 2 black slaves. And this was not done by any Sahaba, this was done by Rasulullah. In Hadith Sahih Muslim 1602. So that was the value of black slaves. And just to give a picture, black slaves were actually treated much worse because they were valued at half the price of white slaves, actually. And clothes, I've already told you about, and it is in Musannaf Ibn Saiba 6382 and 6383. Let me show you the hadith if you want to. They say that you have to
Got
dress them probably
30
and stuff.
seconds left.
No issues. Umar saw a slave girl wearing the veil, so he struck her. He said, "Do you emulate free women? How dare you cover your breast?" In fact, when their Sahaba used to go to buy these slaves, they used to put their hand, you can read it. Umar wanted to buy a slave girl. He would place his hands on her buttocks between her thighs and may uncover her
And
legs just to see that what kind of
time.
beauty he's getting. Yeah, that's
We're
my
going to
time
jump into
actually.
the open conversation, folks.
That.
This is going to be split into 1.5-minute segments. If they want to give up their time and move over to the other, I should say, kick it over to the other person, they can, but they have no more than a minute and a half for each of their responses during this open discussion. Also, that poll is in the live chat. It is working. Thanks for your patience on that. So, or at the Modern Day Debate YouTube channel, we have the poll on today's question. Does Islam promote sex slavery? So don't forget to vote there. With that, gentlemen, thanks very much. The floor is all yours.
Go ahead, Zabir. Nadir, you're on mute.
Oh, pardon. I left you. I muted you earlier, Nadir. There you go.
Okay,
You're good.
thank you. So You know, you give me no choice but to end your career, heated debate. What we have heard tonight are nothing but fake arguments. What does fake stand for? False assumption of the ignorant, credulous person. All he did was misread and misinterpret the texts of our scriptures, and we're going to have it out tonight. Let's find out who's a liar. He said, Nadir is a liar. Nadir is a liar. We're going to find it out. Who's a liar tonight? I have shared my screen here. We'll go one by one on each point. But you know, even if you listen to him, I never heard of one single occasion of a story of a slave girl getting raped. Those are his fake arguments he's presenting to us. False assumption of the ignorant, credulous person. So he says that was Islamic education he's giving people. Let's read the text. You said you can read Arabic? Listen to what it says over here. Whosoever has a slave woman and teaches her good manner and educates her. Nothing about Islamic education. You lied. It's on the screen. Everybody can see it. You said you can understand Arabic, right? The Arabic text is ahsun ta'lim. So what was a fake argument of his? He said, this is only Islamic education, but is that what's written in the text? Absolutely not. So this is one of the great
Coming up on that
miracles of
minute and a half.
Islam. Okay, so go ahead. And so show me where it says Islamic education.
What is Hasan Talim? You two know that. Okay, let me show you that he's trying to say that nobody was raped. Let me show you who was raped. Is my screen visible? See.
What I'm going to do also is, if it's not on, okay, I think we got a second screen share, so I'll kick it over.
You seem to be okay, I'm so sorry. You seem to be very fond of Ibn Ishaq thing, right? So Safiya. Yeah, Safiya hated. What if I show you that when Muhammad was having sex with Safiya, she hated her? What do you say? What would you say then? Would you then accept that she was raped or what, or not? If I show you that she was raped, she hated Rasulullah when Rasulullah was having sex with her. What would you say then? You can speak, Nadir. It's a
I've asked you to unmute
conversation.
Nadir. I muted you a couple times because coughing and laughing. But so if you're able to mute yourself though when you're not speaking, I don't have to do that, because right now I'm asking you to unmute 8 times. And I think Nadir.
I'm sorry. Did you want me to speak? I'm sorry.
That seems to be what he said like 10 seconds ago, Nadir.
I think you are a liar. I think you are lying that he hated her while he's having sex with her. I hate you. Everybody here would love to see that. Heated, can you please show us that?
Okay, sure. Could you please
is it my turn for my 1 minute 30 seconds?
No, it is mentioned in a lot of books.
Wait, is it my turn? Because he had his 1 minute 30. Is it my turn?
Yeah, you wanted me to show the preference,
We're coming up on
when you come up again, I will do it. So I don't know whose turn is it right now to speak.
We're coming up on a minute and a half here, but
okay,
we haven't finished that minute and a half yet.
Sure.
So he wanted me to show him that yes, Safiya hated him when Muhammad Sahib was having sex with her.
10 seconds.
There was none more hateful to me than Allah's messenger, as he had my father and husband killed. The Prophet, however, kept explaining, Safiya, your father instigated the Arabs against me and did such and such things.
And
so yes, she hated.
You did ask for a minute and a half, guys. So like, if you guys,
thank you.
That's what you guys asked for, so I have to hold you to that.
Okay. So as you can see, the liar is being exposed. It ain't me. He said that this was Islamic education. That's what it meant. I did show the reference, and then he ran to something about show me an instance of sex, slavery. Yeah, we'll talk about that, but let's get back to the hadith. You said you could read Arabic, right? He said it's in the Arabic. It's right there. Can you show me where it says Islamic education? So you see, he did.
What is?
Hold on, let's my 1 minute 30 seconds. Please allow me. Because so you can't speak Arabic, so I'll explain to you. Ahsan means like from the word Hassan, good. So Ahsan, the best. Give him the best education, Nothing about Islamic education is in that text. So if you want to learn Arabic from me, I don't got a problem. We can do it offline, Heated, but this is not the time for that. We can definitely do a one-on-one and we can do this, but this is not where we should be doing it. Now, you said that, so you got exposed over there. You don't know what the text actually says. You said that he hated her while he was having sex with her. I saw no reference like that. In fact, I did show my reference of Safiya. You go to Ibn Sa'd. In fact, let's go to Ibn Sa'd. They had a nice discussion. He said, hey, let's go to Safiya. Right over here, I've got a screenshot of the book. He says, hey, if you would like to go back to your people, you could go ahead. But he says, no, I have no desire for Judaism. I have neither father nor brother in it. You give me a choice between disbelief in Islam. I prefer Allah and his messenger to freedom or returning to my people. That's right there on your screen. But you said he hated her while having sex with her. Where's the reference for that? Please share it with us.
Yeah, sure. So, what I showed you, was it visible to you or not?
Show it
Did
again.
you even read that? So I'd have to show it again. Okay, I will show it again to you. So a lot of Muslim websites, Salafi, Hanafi, and Devbandi, all of them are posting articles just to give, just to whitewash what has been written in multiple books. So I'm just going to just show you an article because you do not translate these types of instances in English because you guys hate being true and good. So let me show it again to you. Is my screen visible?
No, they can't see it. You have to share your screen for them to see it.
Okay, is it
There
visible
you go.
now?
Yep.
Okay. See, it is in Ibn Abi Asim Abu Bakr al Ahad wal Mathani Riyad Dal ar Rayaya 1991 Hadith 3113 and Al Tabrani. It's in multiple books actually, where Safiya is clearly saying there was none more hateful to me than Allah's messenger, as he had my father and my husband killed. But she was a 17-year-old girl, and Rasulullah tried to convince her that his father was bad, and she eventually gave him that. I accept, right? She did. But when he was having sex with her, he hated him. And a lot of moments I've seen, this is one of the, what do you call it, apologetics website, where these guys are trying to justify it, but the justification is really very poor. You can read the reference here and what Safiya actually said. She hated him. And who would not? What 17-year-old girl would not hate somebody who has killed his father, killed his brother, and has tortured and killed his husband? What 17-year-old girl would not hate that guy? Would your family member, one of your family member, love somebody and want to have sex with somebody who has killed you or your son? Would your daughter like to do that? It's clear as day, yes, she eventually gave in, but she hated him.
That time?
Okay, what's your, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so this is another fake argument of his, false assumption of the ignorant, credulous person. Nowhere in that text did it say, and you're not even quoting original text, you're going to some website, and that's okay. Did it say that
I can quote if you want.
while having sex, he was hating her? That's just not in there. But I still need that apology for the first lie you said. You said it's only Islamic education. That was another fake argument, right? This is another one of your false assumptions that you're reading into the text. You didn't apologize for that. You asked me to teach you Arabic. I can't do that right now. And now you're making another false assumption that you're telling me that that text over there says that it was sex, hating during sex. That's just not what it's, what you quoted didn't even say that. But what I quoted you explained it. You see the way the Islamic references work, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, meaning you got to look in a couple of different places for to get the full picture. I'm quoting you Ibn Sa'd. It documents that discussion, okay? It states over here, your father, Safiya was bought and said to her, so this is how the discussion transpired. So if you read the whole thing there, it starts from she's like, hey, you just killed my father, blah, 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 blah. And then he says, okay, hey, listen, I'll give you the option. Do you want to stay with Judaism? I'll send you back to your people. Or you could choose Islam. She said, no, I'll choose Islam. You see, to answer your question, well, but if you just killed his father and brother and blah, 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 why would you want to continue to be in a romantic relationship with him? You see, Heated, the way the Islamic text is working is that Allah, God, is guiding her to Islam. That's where she got the dream of the moon coming into her lap. So you see, the reason why these women are willfully engaging in sexual relations, as you could clearly see here, is because this is a miracle from Almighty God. This is called hidayat. God is guiding them, changing those bad feelings for love and affection towards Islam, as we could clearly see on the texture. And she stated very clearly, she says, no, I don't want to go back. I want to stay with Islam.
So
So
what you're trying to say is,
yeah, go ahead. Well, is
it's
that
your
my
time,
minute
right?
130? Is that my minute 30 or? So I would
Uh,
like first to start off. You start off by apologizing about misrepresenting the thing about the education, and
Yeah.
then we can go to this one. Okay, go ahead.
So what you're trying to say is that when Rasulullah was tempting a lot of his men by saying that you'll be getting blonde women of Byzantine to have
Yeah.
sex with, then Allah was showing them dreams of getting moon in their laps, and they were getting somehow convinced that yes, we should have sex with these guys who have just killed our father and brothers. So is that what you're saying?
My time, let me take my 1 minute 30 seconds. So we'll definitely get to the reference about the blondes and things like that. But you see, what's happening here is my fake opponent is engaging in mockery, ridicule. That's what you're saying. It's not what I'm saying. It's what the text is saying. And you are lying to people up here tonight about what the text is stating here. It's not about me. You see, if you think the story about the girls and captives are ridiculous, fine, but don't misquote the text. So
I am
the way, oh,
not
this is my
misquoting the
minute 30.
text.
This is my minute
Okay, go
30.
ahead.
Nowhere
Mhm.
did it say that he hated her while having sex. That's just not there. Okay, you made that up and you inserted that in there in the text. That the way the story, the narrative goes is that God is guiding these women. Why did Safiya even want to walk and talk with Muhammad and where she told him about that dream? Normally these things don't happen, but because God is guiding these women to Islam. That's the story. Now you think it's ridiculous? Okay, that's fine, no problem. But you lied first about the Islamic education. That's not in the text. You lied over here telling us
I'd show you the
that
Islamic
okay,
education. Don't
yeah,
worry.
okay, do it.
Go
I
ahead.
have already shared the hadith. We could go back to that. I'm telling you, showed me where it, and I go, oh
and
yeah,
Yeah,
I think I got a
sure,
reference now for it.
time.
Okay,
We'll
so
sure,
kick it
sure.
yeah,
over to heated
how do you
debate.
explain these misrepresentations?
So what the guy just said is that his messenger was tempting his men that you'd get to have sex with a lot of blonde Byzantine women if you just go on this war with me. And then Allah used what he used to do, that he used to give them dreams of moon landing in their laps. And they suddenly used to think that, yes, we want to have sex with these men who have just killed our brothers and fathers and our husbands. Then again, tell me what you make of it. Could be that this Rasulullah was so charismatic that when he was having sex with Safiya, even the Muslims didn't think that Safiya did not hate him, because there was a man. It's in your book Sirah ibn Ishaq. He was he was guarding his tent where Muhammad was having sex with Safiya, and he knew that she might attack him. Let me show you the reference if you want the reference. Just a moment. Where's the reference? Where's the reference? Where's the reference? It's just 2 pages after the reference that you showed to everybody else. Let me show you the same book, because you very selectively read stuff, my dear friend.
While we're waiting, you've only got about 20. Oh, actually, you just ran out of time. We're going to kick it over to Nadir.
Okay, let me
Okay,
just show him the
thank you.
reference if he
You
so that he
shut up.
doesn't question
Let me
it.
You know,
Let
I
me
am
just show you.
okay.
Can I
you
show the
guys have
reference
asked
with
for
your
me to
permission?
hold you to a minute and a half,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
now you're
it's
like,
my
oh no,
turn.
now I
Yeah.
don't want it. I got to keep
No,
you.
no,
You
no.
both
So
agreed,
this
but
reference is just gonna
no, no,
stay on
no.
the
I
screen and it
just
get waited.
explained to you. Don't interrupt me. I told you, you guys agreed to a minute and a half. I have to hold you guys to that. I've given you over a minute and a half now.
Thank you. So I'm just tired of asking him to show me the reference. He said, "Yes, okay, okay, I'll show you where it says Islamic education only." Man, we've been here for almost 20 minutes, dude. You haven't showed nothing. Okay, I'm just going to give up on that. Let us show for the record. He has misrepresented the text. There is no record of that while you're having sex with her. He's hating you. You, Muhammad, I hate you so much. And you're doing this sex on me. These are all fake arguments, false assumption of the ignorant, credulous person. So that's why I came tonight armed to the teeth with the references going straight to the original sources, Ibn Ishaq, Ibn Sa'd. That's where these stories are coming from. And when we read it, it's nothing like what he's saying. Now, he keeps bringing up the issue about the Byzantine, one issue at a time. I will definitely deal with that as well. So I think we can just leave off Sophia. It's just ain't gonna happen tonight that he's gonna show us that this girl Sophia was raped. Now he's making more fake arguments. He says, but the army soldiers around them, they're a little bit wary of her. Well, yeah, they didn't know the whole discussion they had. All what we're talking about, they didn't know. They're just doing their job. So you see how fake he is, constantly making a false assumption. He's ignorant and he's credulous. Do you know what credulous means? Credulous, let me get you a dictionary definition. It means that having or showing great readiness to believe in something. That is, this man is credulous. So I think that's my minute 30. I think it's pretty clear he's just faking it till he making it, I think is what's happening here.
We'll kick it over. Floor is
So
yours.
I
Heated
just
debates.
thank you. I just showed him the reference that Safia did hate Prophet because he killed his father and brother. And here's this guy who's just backing up Safia's statement. This guy, let me read out this Ibn Ishaq he likes so much from that same book. It is written that Nazar passed the night girt with sword. Okay, this thing is coming. Guarding the apostle and going around the tent until the morning. The apostle saw him and there and asked him what he meant by his action. He replied, I was afraid for you with this woman, for you have killed her father, her husband, and her people. Until recently, she was in unbelief. So I was afraid for you on her account. They allege that apostles said, Oh God, preserve Abu Ayyub as he spent the night preserving me. So maybe, right? Because it is about God and he could change mind of any girl. But as per the common sense and the things that we have read, what Safia has said and what people actually thought according to their common sense, it is clear that it is not common for a 17-year-old to want to have sex with you just some time after you have killed their whole family.
10-second warning.
I mean, yes, she did. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
You get
And
10.
yeah, okay.
We'll kick it
Okay,
over to you.
my fake opponent, again, fake stands for FAIC, false assumption of the ignorant, credulous person. He saw some guards saying, hey, listen, I was a little bit scared because of what was going on. So he made this false assumption that that's rape. That's rape, everybody. So, we went back to the text. I showed you that the discourse they have in the beginning, she was a little bit upset, but he said, but this is common sense. This is common sense. But you're not understanding that the way the story is written is that God, in normal world, this wouldn't be happening. You're right, Hayden. But God is changing Sophia's heart. You see, God is giving her these dreams of the moon coming into her lap. And then she said, Muhammad said, look, I can send you back to your people if you like. She said, no, I want to stay with Islam. That's the work of God Almighty. Now, you think that's a stupid story? Fine, but don't misrepresent the story. That's just not what our text says. Now, a lot of what I want to leave this because it's clear you're just being fake. Um, I want to get back to so you brought up a lot of issues about slavery in general, which was off topic. It's not really related to sex slavery, but that's okay. We could talk about that. But let's first deal with what we are talking about, the topic here tonight. Now, I showed you three slave girls: Safiya, Rehana, Joera. Joera, she was given the choice, and she said, Muhammad said, "Okay, can I offer you to myself?" And she said, "Yeah, I'll take that." So now you have two references. I can show it to you again, where these slave girls are given choice. So where are you getting this rape from?
And time. Go ahead, heated debates.
Okay, fair. Why was that? Why wasn't that the same choice given to Safiya when she said that she hated him? Why was that same choice not given to Safiya when she clearly said that she hated him the most in the world? Because he has killed my father, he has killed my brother. Why wasn't the same choice given to her? I'll tell you why. Because she was beautiful. She was sold to Dahiya. It is in your Bukhari. And then Muhammad bought her back, selected her for himself. That woman hates you. Why not give her the same choice? And he is talking about slavery and stuff and thing. Let me just ask you then one more question. Talk about educating women. Why were you guys not letting them wear just cover their body? Why was Umar beating them? Because she dressed like a free woman. She covered her body like a free woman. Why was she beaten for that? If you were treating your women slaves so nicely, why were slaves being killed for not being, for running away, for not wanting to stay slave? Why were they being beheaded? You can ask for references.
Nadir?
Thank you. Okay, let me share my screen. Let me address the first one. So why didn't Safiya have the option like Joera had, where Muhammad said, "Well, can I offer myself to you?" She said, "Yeah, I'll take that." She was. Safiya was. I'm sharing this is Ibn Asad. Let's read this together. I'm going to handhold you through this, okay? Here's a discussion taking place. When Safiya was brought to the Prophet, he said to her, "Your father was one of the Jews with the strongest hatred to me until Allah killed him." So this is the discourse which you're talking about, okay? She said, "Messenger of Allah," and then she recites, "No burden bearer can bear another burden." So my point to you is, because you are ignorant, you don't know that the Islamic texts are like a jigsaw puzzle. You gotta not the whole story is not found in all one places. You got to go to different books to get the whole story. Let's keep reading. The Messenger of Allah said to her, "Choose. If you choose Islam, I will keep you for myself. If you choose Judaism, then I will free you so that you can go back to your people." This is exactly what you're saying. Why wasn't Safiya given a choice? She was given a choice, but you are fake. That's the problem. Okay, now as far as all the beating, I'll get to that. I'm just addressing one issue at a time. Guys have a lot being thrown at me. She said, "I have no desire for Judaism. I have neither father nor brother in it. You give me a choice." And then she goes on and said, I'll choose Islam. But now we have two slave girls who were given a choice. Would you? And so Joera didn't want to be with the guy she was paired up with. So she went right to Muhammad and said, "I don't like this guy." And then Muhammad said, "Can I offer you myself?" So, my point to you here is you could see from the prophetic example, no way are you allowed to force yourself on a slave girl. There's three slave girls: Rehana, Joera, Safiya. Let's get this clear, then we can move on to the beating misrepresentations you have also presented. I will challenge you here one last time tonight. So to expose you and end your career, I challenge you right now from the
And
Islamic text. Show me one example of rape.
time.
So this guy just doesn't want to admit. And let me show him this reference once and for the final time. that is being defended by all his scholars, and they are trying to write full length articles on the topic. And I've shown you from what books these come from. These are multiple books and have been rated Sahih. She hated Messenger of Allah more than anybody in the world. All the authentic books. This alahkam.org has been writing articles just to defend this instance. She didn't want him. She hated him. And what family you're talking about that Rasulullah was trying to send her back to? The father that he had killed, the brother that he had killed, the husband that he had tortured and killed. The people of Khabar were destroyed. What option did that 17-year-old have? His whole tribe was killed. His father, brother, and husband were killed. I mean, I don't know what this guy is talking about. And then let me show you. If this was so possible for the people to not choose not to be slaves, let me just drag this down. I don't know how to just, yeah, okay. This is Sunan Nasai 4050. If a slave opts not to stay in slavery and tries to run away, he will die as a disbeliever. The slave of Jarir ran away and he caught him and struck his neck. What option did those slaves or slave girls have? They were killed, they were beheaded if they opted not to be slaves, if they opted
And
to run away.
we'll kick it in Nadir.
This is a Sahih Hadith, Sunan Nasai 4050.
Okay, so I have issued a clear challenge to him. Show me one example of a slave girl being raped, and he has failed to meet that challenge. Let us show for the record tonight that heated debate has pretty much not shown a single example of a woman being raped, and that's because this is a prophetic example set by Muhammad that you do not force yourself on slave girls. I showed you 3 slave girls. He keeps going back to the story of Safiya, that she hated him, but read the whole story. Read the whole story there. And I think I've shared that like multiple times. This is getting boring. This debate is getting boring, trying to handhold heated to show and through all the references because he just didn't do his homework tonight. I'm getting bored with that. So let's go to the beating part. In Islam, nobody is allowed to beat a slave. The references which you are quoting from, those people were beaten not because they were slaves, but because they violated an aspect of Islamic Sharia law. For example, Google keyword search, what's the punishment for fornication? It's lashes, it's beating. In Islam, everybody's getting beaten, not just slaves. But what's important is nobody is allowed to be beaten for being a slave. I mean, a slave master beating a slave, that's prohibited. But if you like drink wine, you commit fornication, in Islam, the punishment is lashing. So please, this is another one of his false assumptions, which he's now we're now going through the issues of beating. And so I know I didn't get a chance to address the hadith which he quoted, but my time is up.
So he's not willing to accept any, he's just announcing his victory on the challenge that he threw, that tell me a woman that was raped. I clearly showed him that a woman that hates you, if you're having sex with her, that
Just
is
because
rape.
I'll let
And
you finish.
Safiya, okay, I'm thankful to you for that. So as it is clearly mentioned that yes, Safiya hated him and still Muhammad had sex with him, that is categorical rape. Dear guys. And then if he wants some other references, I can show him this hadith. This is 1456D. And this is a very famous one, and he might be recognizing this. The hadith had been reported on the authority of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Allah be pleased with him. Through the another chain of transmitters, and the words are, they took captive women on the day of Autas who had their husbands. They were afraid to have sexual intercourse with them when this verse was revealed. See, these good Muslims didn't want to have sex with women that they had captured because their husband was still alive. These were some good people. But then Allah and the Rasulullah reveal this verse. And women already married except those whom your right hand possess. You can write A, B, and C versions of this hadith, and you can figure out. Rasulullah is clearly saying here, no, you can have sex with them. What's the matter if their husbands are still alive? And if that doesn't count as rape, I don't know what does in
Mhm.
woman's mind.
And
This is
time.
sick, guys.
Yeah, leave that hadith up
Oh wait,
there.
I do want to before we jump forward, I do want to mention just to it's totally cool to go in on the details. In fact, it's good. At the same time, just so we don't get bogged down in the details, I want to kind of focus on the broader topic of does Islam promote sex slavery? As we've been going on, we've gone deep on whether or not the
Sure.
particular rape occurred. Go ahead, Nadir.
Yeah. Okay. Let me address my fake opponent. The problem here is
Well,
he
no,
had
no,
just
no. I'm just asking.
yeah
I'm asking you. Don't.
yeah.
I don't want to like. Yes, I will eventually, but now I'm gonna. I'm
Okay. I'm
saying
sorry.
let's redirect it.
Sorry, my apologies. Okay, so let's go back to the points which I raised. How Islam actually destroys sex slavery. Number one, the prophetic example of giving women an option. Secondly, creating a safe environment. Islam did create a safe environment for these women by saying there's no beating. You know, if you even slap a slave girl, that's it. The punishment is you got to set her free. Again, if they violate Islamic law, it doesn't matter if you're a slave or a free person, you're going to get beaten. Fornication, adultery, I'm sorry, drinking alcohol, these are all punishable crimes by whipping. You can even look in the Islamic world, you'll see free people being whipped today. So it's very important not to make those type of false assumptions that this is because you're a slave. I also pointed out that giving women the best education, that's how you create that safe environment, one-on-ones. Anytime a slave girl wanted to, had a problem, she can go to Prophet Muhammad at any time and they can have a one-on-one discussion where she could report any of these type of abuses that would take place up to her. So, and of course, we anybody who enters the house of Abu Sufyan will be safe. What that entails is that during wartime, if the women and children just stay in the house, they're going to be safe. Nobody's allowed to go in there and capture them. So that's how Islam actually destroyed the whole industry of sex slavery. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm so sorry. See, so I would like to ask him for a instance where this girl went to Rasulullah to ask punishment for Umar when she was struck by a whip for dressing, for covering her breast. And then coming back to actually pointed out is this Asbabul Nazul visible, James?
Yes.
Okay. So coming back to the point, to the topic actually, this Rasul of yours is actually tempting his men by offering them women of a Byzantine. And even the men are saying that I may get tempted, please do not tempt me with the women. If that is not promotion of sex slavery, then what is? Please, Nadir.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So again, like I said, the issue which Omar did, now whether it was right or wrong, we don't know. So he's basically implementing Islamic law. What he saw, according to the law, not because she was a slave, that if she dresses like a free woman, you're not allowed to do that, or to dress like a Muslim. These are also not so much Islamic Sharia laws, but these are political laws, because he said this is an issue of his political rule on what he saw fit. But that's really not something which we could say Prophet Muhammad instituted or taught. So again, this is where the blur is coming from. But the point here is that anybody who slaps a slave girl, you have to set them free. So did the girl violate the law? We don't know. But that's where I think your confusion is coming. So my point here is that if you can't even slap a slave girl, then how are you going to be able to commit these sexual crimes against her? Because it's a very violent act, of course, doing this type of sexual behavior. So this is how Islam actually discourages sex slavery. Now, the last point, boy, I'm forgetting the last point you raised, and because you're not addressing the hadith,
Muhammad
because
tempting
I'm sorry.
his sahabas
Oh yeah,
for the
wonderful.
blonde
Thank you.
women. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Yes. So it's still the laws apply. It is an irrelevant point because they said yes, having women captives of war is definitely permissible in Islam so long as you follow the rules. You're not going to force yourself on them. That's a prophetic example. You do not slap them, and it's a two-way street. Not only is it good for those men, but good for her. She's going to get the best education. Her position is going to be elevated because she's now a person of importance. She's got direct access to the top leader of the state. So this is something which is a two-way street. It benefits her and it benefits him, and not just her, but it
1.5
breaks the
minutes.
cycle of poverty, because that's what happens if you don't follow the. Well, where are these women going to go? They're only, remember, these women are only the women who are participating in battle, not the common people. They're going to go straight into prisons, go straight into poverty. So this is a win-win situation for both.
Fair. So, my dear guy just admitted that Umar wasn't a Muslim actually and not for following Islam because he was striking slave girls, and maybe that he didn't knew what Prophet meant by whatever he said. So he struck slave girls for wearing proper clothes. He struck them for that. And coming back to that point, yes, you can make slaves. You can just clearly see in this hadith that Muhammad of yours is tempting his Sahabi to wage war on Byzantine to get women. And he's saying that I don't want to get tempted. I don't want to kill people just to have sex with some European women. And if you teach them and have any kind of thing, why kill their men? Why kill their Byzantine people? What did they do to you to kill their men and tempt your people to have sex with those women? Don't you see the flaw in this, dear brother? And talking about teaching and stuff, I would like to show you another hadith where you fall so flat that you look like a pancake. There was this blind Sahabi who killed his mother of children, basically.
End time.
And okay, go ahead.
Okay, so let's start with his fake assumptions. I don't want to kill people for European women. What he was quoting, as you could all see, that's not what it says. So the big problem with my fake opponent is he's constantly making false assumptions because he's ignorant and because he's credulous. Fake, F-A-I-C. So the big problem in tonight's debate is what is really, do you know, is truly quoted in the text versus what is not. The whole part about I don't want to kill people for European women, he made that up. That's his false assumption, which he's imposing upon the text. So let's go back to that text because it's a beautiful example of how Muhammad weeded out the people who had sexual deviation in them. He's like, I'm going to share the references from Sirah ibn Ishaq. I made a screenshot of it, page 602. He says, I'm strongly addicted to women, and I am afraid that if I should see the Byzantine women, I shall not control myself. Well, if Islam promoted sex slavery, the answer should have been wonderful. Because I tell you what, that's what Putin is doing in Ukraine. You know what they do to these type of men? They give them condoms in the Russian army because they're doing horrible things to Ukrainian women. If Islam promoted that, then he would say, wonderful. But look what the text says. The apostle gave him permission to remain behind and turned away from him. beautiful example of how Muhammad weeds out the people with sexual deviation. So how do you respond to that, Heated?
Thank you. And this is how I respond to that. See, you should have read the ayah for which this tafsir is, dear friend. This guy is clearly saying that. Let me read this whole hadith for you, whole tafsir for you. O Abu Wahab, would you not like to have scores of Byzantine women and men as concubines and servant? Here, these are the words of your prophet, dear friend. I am an Indian. English is my third language, but I think being an English guy, you should be clearly able to comprehend this. And what this guy says in return, so do not tempt me by them. Please don't tempt me with those girls. Your Rasulullah was trying to tempt that guy with those women that he'd be getting when he attacks the Roman Empire, Byzantine, basically. And after that, this is the Shane Nazul of this ayah, where he says that, let me just read the actual verse for you, what ayah is revealed. Quran 9.49. This is the ayah that is revealed. Some more. And among them,
10
he is
seconds.
who says, hold a minute. And among them, he is who says, grant me leave to be exempted from jihad and put me not into trial. Surely they have fallen into trial, and verily hell is surrounding the disbelievers. Oh, you didn't get tempted by those blonde women. You're going to hell because you did not join me in this jihad. This is what your Allah said. This is the Shane Nuzul of the Saya. You have to go and attack and
And
kill the Byzantine men and have sex with their women.
time.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
seriously.
Okay, so the problem with him, he's reading a commentary. I am taking you to the original source, Sirah ibn Ishaq. The whole "do not tempt me by them," all of that, it's really not in the story, at least not what I see. I am taking you to the original source. Sirah ibn Ishaq is the earliest biography of Muhammad. You're reading some commentary, and people put their own interpretations on it. But the text is very clear. When he stated, I got this problem, I can't control myself around these women. What was Muhammad's reaction? Wonderful. That's I got a lot of girls for you. At that point, once he demonstrated that I have a problem with control, the blondies, Byzantine women, which are not for you. Get the hell out of here. Did you see that? Get out. You have a problem. The text, and I'm stating very clearly, the apostle of Allah gave him permission to remain behind, and he just turned away from him. He was not allowed to go into the army once it was clear that he had a problem of control around women. Yes, there will be captives of war, as I pointed out, the win-win situation. Because those women are going to, because these are only the women who are fighting on the battlefield, right? And they are going to go straight into poverty or into prisons. That's not good for them. But they're going to come, they're going to get the best education, one-on-ones, and eventually they'll get their freedom. I forgot to quote you the hadith. I've been so busy dealing with his arguments and all of that. But I have a question now, which I'd like to ask for you. You know, he's keep talking about your Allah, your Muhammad, but my opponent here worships a monkey god. Well, here's a problem with that. Did you know that monkeys rape other monkeys? So my question to you, Heated, is you are worshiping a rapist monkey, Hanuman, and you are here tonight talking about rape. Do you see the contradiction in that?
We'll kick it over to Heated Debates
Okay,
for
now
a
he's
minute and
going
a
to
half.
personal attacks. And I'd just like to reply him with that your Rasulullah is the guy who rides a donkey to heaven, basically, and donkeys do the same. And Rasulullah was pretty for a very long time with that donkey. And if you say all the monkeys behave in the same way. All the donkeys should behave in the same way. And I'm just saying that Rasulullah was with a donkey for a very long time. So keeping aside the personal things that you want to derail the conversation with, let me just again show you the tafsir. And this is not just by Wahidi, it is by Ibn Kasir and everybody. This is the Shan-e Nazul of the ayah, that he is going to hell for not joining the jihad even after the temptation. You can read any tafsir. Same as the situation, same as the story that is narrated there in all the tafsirs. That despite being tempted by these blonde women that he's gonna get, and you just said that Rasulullah wanted to save them from a very bad situation. Who was putting them in that bad situation? By killing their parents and brothers and husbands. What kind of logic you're making? I'm not getting at all. So going to the point again, and see here Rasulullah is again the Shani Nuzul of this ayah, because you have to go for jihad. When there's a call for jihad on
10
Europe
seconds.
and anywhere else, you have to go for jihad. You would get tempted, but if
that
you
it?
deny, you're going to hell basically. And
And time.
okay, I
Yeah.
wasted a lot of time, I guess.
Yeah. So you've been refuted, I think, on the whole issue of blonde women and all this. It was very clear, as you are quoting a commentary, and you don't see the problem with that. I'm taking you to the original source, in which I'm showing you Sirah ibn Ishaq, the original, what is you're supposed to be doing tonight. And once that dude, I'm just repeating myself. Once it was clear that he had a sexual deviation, he was kicked out. You have to control yourself around women. That's very clear from the prophetic example. Okay, and you have already failed tonight to show one example of a slave girl being raped or abused, for that matter, by Muhammad or anybody. There was one point which you sort of scored, in which you showed there was a blur between Islamic law versus someone being a slave. Yeah, there could be that blur which could take place, which Umar implemented, because the whole thing about dressing women versus just violating the laws. But I'm not making personal attacks. I really want to know about this. You worship a monkey god, and you're criticizing Allah and your prophet. I am showing you from Harvard Magazine that chimpanzees uh, engage in rape, beat and kill, and even drink the blood of their own kind. You are worshiping a rapist monkey, and yet you are criticizing Allah. And that's what I would like to know. How do you reconcile this contradiction? You do worship the monkey
30
god
seconds.
Hanuman, right? So please explain. That's not a personal attack. But I think, going back to the whole I want to also go back to the point about the hadith, where when the whole road to make sex slaves has been destroyed, because Muhammad said anybody who enters into their homes will be safe before the attack was commenced. That destroys the entire institution of how people become sex slaves. And that's a great thing, because we saw from the example over 50 to 200,000 women were raped in the whole Chinese-Japanese war. Muhammad abolished the practice of rape during war. Go ahead.
So this guy is showing me an article on monkeys and saying that my God, my Lord Hanuman did the same. So I would like to show him some references that men who have committed incest with their mother and have had sex with their siblings, Adam, Eve, Cain, Habil, Kabil, right? That doesn't mean that your Rasulullah did the same. So what some monkeys are doing, or what some humans are doing, you cannot say that Nadir did the same because humans have done the same. Are you an idiot? I must say that, right? Because that argument was really stupid. And abused slave. Then let me show you another hadith. This is Sunan Nabi Dawood, where a man killed his slave just for speaking against what he believed in. So get ready for this hadith. This is a very bad hadith, and this is hadith, one of the reasons why I started speaking against Islam, because this is such a bad hadith. Let me just read it to you. Hadith Dawood. One of the
20
problems with
seconds.
me is that I do not. Okay, let me just complete the hadith if you, if Nadir agrees to this.
Yeah, sure,
that.
sure.
Thank you. Sunan Abi Dawood 4361. 4361. So I've showed you that there were women being raped when they hated the guy most in the world. I've showed you that they were being uh, struck for wearing clothes that their masters felt that they shouldn't wear, and covering their breast. Actually, I've showed you that when their masters, when the sahabas bought the slaves, they put hands in their buttocks to see how good they are, and I can show you the references if Nadir asks for it.
Yes.
And here's a very good example of abusing a slave, right? And he's narrating the story. I'm not going to read the full hadith because I'm past my time. He sat before the Prophet and said, Messenger of Allah, I am her master, and she used to abuse you and disparage you. Because Rasulullah gave that woman to a blind man, and he used to have sex with her and get children from her, basically. I forbade her, but she did not stop, and I rebuked her, but she did not abandon her habit. I have two sons like pearls from her. He already had two sons from her, and she was my companion. Last night, she began to abuse and disparage you, so I took a dagger, put it on her belly, and I pressed it and I killed her. And I want to just get this point clear that that man was blind and that a woman was pregnant. So it was not just a stroke of knife that killed her. He went up to her, found her. As she was pregnant, she couldn't run. He put a dagger on her belly and pressed it until she was dead, and her own blood was smeared on her baby. If this is not abuse, I don't know what is.
Mm-hmm.
Please, what is this?
Yeah, it's very.
And this is a Sahih Hadith by
you.
Sahih Al-Albani, Sunan Abi Dawud. Okay.
Thank you. That shows how fake you are. This is another false assumption of the ignorant, credulous person. That hadith which he quoted has nothing to do with slavery, meaning if that person was a free person, the incident of murder would have happened. It has nothing to do with it. So that person was not killed because she was a slave, was because she began to abuse Prophet Muhammad. It has nothing to do with slavery. But my fake opponent, he misread text, doesn't understand it, and he's showing up tonight, exposing his ignorance. But what's important to understand about that hadith, Muhammad never encouraged that behavior. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. Violation, this is another example of violating the law, violating the Islamic law, which is disparaging and abusing Muhammad. Nothing to do with slavery at all. Okay, so the issue tonight, I think the debate is over in the sense that this fake opponent of mine couldn't show one example of a slave girl being raped or abused as a slave. Now, there is that issue of violating Islamic law, but you will never find a girl being abused. I think we need to wrap this one up because he keeps going back to saying, he hated her. You see that Sophia hated her. And I'm showing the whole discourse taking place. In the beginning, she was very upset, but then Muhammad said, hey, listen, this is what happened here. Your father fought against me. Then she quickly lightened up and said, yes. And I showed the whole passage from Ibn Sa'd, but this fake opponent forgot to read the whole story because he doesn't understand how Islam works. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. You got to get little pieces from here, little pieces from there, put the story together. But I think that what is really wonderful about the whole what we are seeing here tonight is I want to circle back to probably the most
10 seconds.
astonishing teaching in Islam that Muhammad said, give these girls the best education. People in the 7th century didn't think like that. And this is a powerful evidence that what we are seeing here is from God.
Go ahead, Hit.
So, first argument that he made that Allah, matlab Rasulullah never encouraged it. If you're not punishing a guy for killing his slave, who is also the mother of his children, and Rasulullah is setting him free and saying that no punishment is to be levied on him. That is, if you do not punish a crime, killing of a slave, because she showed opposition to your thoughts, because she was married, she was given to a guy who was blind and who was having sex with her and getting children from her, and that guy kills him, and Rasulullah is saying that no punishment is to be levied on him. This is promotion of crime, and the way she was killed is horrible. And this guy just said that I did not show him any proof that a single woman was raped. Yes, I showed him, because Safiya wasn't freed because she hated Rasulullah. She was convinced. She was told that your family is dead. They were against me. Does that mean that she wanted to have sex with that guy? The 17-year-old wanted to have sex with the 65, 63, 53 plus year old guy. This is horrible to even think. I showed him that there were women who were raped when their husbands were still alive, and he doesn't find rape of slave girls in Islam. This is his mentality, and I feel pity for him actually. The women that were raped
10
in front
seconds.
of their husband, and then they were being sold off. And there are discussions of whether we should ejaculate into them or not. Rape is constant, and there are discussions if they should be ejaculated into or not. And Rasulullah is saying you must ejaculate, because Allah is the one who's deciding if she'll be giving birth or not.
We'll kick it over to Nadir.
That isn't rape. That
Yeah.
isn't
That
rape for you,
was
Nadir.
more than a minute and a half.
So so where's all this rape garbage coming from? It's from his false assumptions. Safiya was not freed. Your family is dead. What does this mean? So which we all showed you, he misread the story. He's totally blind to the. I read it twice where they had the discourse where he explained, "Hey, your father tried to fight against me. I'll set you free. If you'd like to go home, you can go home." And she says, "No, I want to stay. I want to be a Muslim." All that he's blind to. See, because you are fake, and I want you to, this is what I'm asking for you. I understand that you feel that, okay, but she wasn't free and he wasn't, and his family is dead, but the text doesn't actually say that she was raped. That's what I'm asking you for. Okay. I understand you think it could be like that, but that's not really what the text says. Now, listen to me. The one about while having sex with slave girls while they are still alive, I understand your fake assumptions. I totally get it. But the text doesn't state explicitly those women were raped. That's what I'm asking you. Now, the reason why we're saying that they were not raped was because the prophetic example, women who were, didn't want to be partake in this, they were excused, and because God changes the hearts of these women, we went over that, but that's okay. You've rejected all of that. I need from you, listen to me, show me an explicit passage in all what you've quoted, no assumptions. I understand you feel that these women are raped. You think it, but I need it explicitly written. Can you show that to us today? Because that's really where you need to start from rather than making all your false assumptions. Can you show that for us today?
So I have shown him that the woman prophet of Allah was having sex with hated him, and he wants the explicit use of rape in documents and books which were written by his followers. So having sex with a woman who hated him isn't a rape for him. Having sex with a woman whose father and brother and the whole family he has killed, and now he is asking her to go back to that non-existent tribe and family, and then she is wanting to just stay because she'd be fed, because if she goes back, her father is dead, her brother is dead, her whole family is dead. that is not rape for this guy. There are Muslims who are not wanting to have sex with women whose husbands are still alive. And Prophet is saying, no, you should have sex with them. They are allowed for you. That is not rape in his dictionary. And he wants the words rape in the books that have been written by the followers of that guy who has given those teachings, those horrible teachings. Let me show him the hadith once again.
Yeah.
See, they took captives women on the day of Avtas who had their husbands. They were afraid to have sexual intercourse with them. When this verse was revealed, and the woman's already married, except for those who you right hand possess, yes, go and have sex with them.
And
Even the Muslims didn't
time.
want to have sex with those women whose husbands were still alive.
Okay.
But the Prophet and Allah is saying, no,
One.
Let's kick
they're
it to
allowed.
Nadir.
Okay, thank you. We are making progress here. So you see, heated, good. You're doing a good job here. You're now admitting it doesn't explicitly say rape in any of the texts which you're quoting, but you're saying it's so obvious they were being raped. I get it, heated. I understand where you're coming from. But Allahu Akbar, thank you for admitting tonight that these women, the texts do not explicitly state that any of these women were being raped, but I know you're chastising me because you feel it's so obvious, right? Heated, it's so obvious that they're getting raped because rape during sex, because I mean, I'm sorry, hated, you hate this woman and, I'm sorry, you hate Muhammad and he's having sex with you. Of course it's rape. I understand that, he did. Now I need a reference from you that during sex, that Safiya hated him during sex. And anything like that. Do you have any of these references to explicitly state what you're talking about? Because this is my problem. You're fake. It's just one false assumption of the ignorant, credulous person after the other. But you can't see that you're fake, so I'm helping you.
Let me ask a simple question
And
because
so,
I think you.
okay, so now here's what I want you to show me: that
Mhm.
during sex, that Muhammad was having sex with a woman who
Mhm.
hated him. I want to show that explicitly to me.
10 seconds.
Could you show that? Come on, show that to us.
Could go to heated debates.
Okay. So he's talking about Safiya, and if you could please open the Hadith 2235, Bukhari 2235 for me, and read it out for the audience.
Why don't you do it?
Okay, I'll do it for you. Say this Bukhari 2235. Let me read this Hadith for you. The Prophet came to Khyber when Allah made him the victorious and conquered the town by breaking the enemy's defense. The beauty of Safiya bint Huwai bin Akhtab was mentioned to him, and her husband had been killed while she was a bride. Allah's messenger selected her for himself. He set out in her company till he reached Sad ar Rawa, whatever the name is, where her menses were over, and he married her. Then has kind of a meal was prepared and served on a small leather sheet. Then said to me, inform those who are around you so that your marriage banquet given by Allah's messenger, falana falana. So, what was the amount of time that took between all this that happened? It was 3 days. I can show you hadiths for it. So you mean to say that Safiya hated him, and in 3 days, Rasulullah convinced her to have sex with him. Let me just ask you the simple common sense question: if somebody was to kill you and your family, would your daughter of 17 years of age agree to have sex with that guy who has killed her whole family, to have sex with him? Would she agree in 3 days? Let me
Sure.
just be, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we are making progress. You and I are making progress here. So you did show me where, well, the text didn't say that Muhammad is having sex with a girl. I mean, it doesn't explicitly say that Muhammad is having sex with a girl, which hated him, but you feel it's so obvious because what else could it be? Of course it's happening. It's just your assumption you're making. But the reason what your mistake, Heated, is, let me share with you the full, you're only going to one source. You got to go to other sources. This is, here is a discourse, the full discourse, which you're missing here. This is what she said. When Safiya was brought to the Prophet, he said to her, your father was, then Muhammad, at this point, she's very upset at what happens. But then Muhammad consoles her and says, listen, your father was fighting against me, as we can see over here. And then the messenger said, look, choose. If you choose Islam, I'll keep you for myself. If you choose Judaism, I will free you and let you join your people. This is where what you're missing here. So that's why I understand that if you just read what you read and just look at that, then I understand you can make those type of assumptions, and they're so obvious if you just look at that one little text you're quoting. But what's happening here, Heated, is when you read the other stuff, the other parts of the story, which you got to put together, which you didn't do. That's why I can't make those assumptions you're making, because now this right here explains why you just can't make those assumptions. And I'm glad that you are admitting to everybody here tonight that the texts we're quoting do not explicitly state that rape was taking place or Muhammad is having sex with a woman who hated him. That's not what the text is saying. But what you are saying is, this is just so obvious to me when I read those texts you quoted. I totally get it. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is when you read the other passages, it explains away what happens, and that's why we can't make those assumptions you're making. Does that make sense to you? Go ahead.
Yeah, that is not an issue actually. Matlab, if
Okay.
you don't want to believe that a woman's mind whose father has been killed and a brother and husband as well was changed in 3 days to have sex with a guy who just killed them. If you think that is all right, if your common sense allows it, well, very
Okay.
good.
It was
But
common sense you're using. Your
okay,
common sense.
hear
Okay,
me out.
gotcha.
Hear me out.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Simple, as simple as that. Because these hadiths were written by the followers of Islam,
Okay.
and they very much mention that yes, she did hate him, and he did not free that 17-year-old girl because she hated him. Because if you hate somebody, you surely do not want to have sex with him,
Mm-hmm.
unless it is some kind of very wild fetish that she's having, that I'm gonna have sex with somebody who has
Yeah.
killed my father and stuff. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is as simple as that.
Okay. I
So,
understand
and
where you're coming
you
from.
hear
Yeah.
me out. Hear me
So
out.
yeah.
Hear me
Yeah.
out. Hear me out. And you still haven't answered that. Why the slaves that they were being offered, that they were being tempted by, did Allah change their minds too?
Mm-hmm.
Of
Yes.
those thousands of girls whose parents and family were being killed in those
Yeah.
jihad
There's no such
trips
thing.
of yours, right?
Yeah. There's no such
Where you
thing.
were where you were killing people when they were sleeping and when they were going for stuff. Did Allah change their minds too
Mm-hmm.
and made them have willingly sex with those guys who have just killed their parents and family?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to answer your question, there was no such thing as all these people's parents were killed, and that's another one of your fake arguments. And you've just been trying to fake it till you make it in this debate. But to answer your question, to where you're coming from, you just feel okay. I know the text don't explicitly state what I want it to state, but it's just common sense to me. I understand where you're coming from, but the problem here is what you are saying. Problem here is why is that Allah is changing the hearts of these people. This is the stories which you are reading when Allah gave Safiya that dream of Muhammad being the moon coming into her lap. That shows that God is giving her guidance, changing her views, and making her embrace Islam. Because remember, she said Muhammad gave her the option: you can go back to your people, or you could stay with us. She says, I want to be a Muslim. She says, I want to follow Islam. And so I think what I will do for today for you is I will give you the reference which I'm quoting from. It's called Ibn Sa'd. These are the original sources so that you can start putting together the full story. I think what's happening is that you're just reading half the story, like little pieces here, and you're drawing your own conclusions. So I'll give that to you as a gift, so that you can put the pieces together. But I think the issue here, we've resolved the issue of where all this rape is coming from. It's what he was thinking was common sense. So going back to the other issue is, look, if Islam was going to promote, how shall I say, sex slavery, before he laid siege to the village, he made it clear all the women and children should, anybody who enters the house of Abu Sufyan will be safe. Anybody who enters their own house will be safe. Nobody is allowed to go into the homes of people. So this totally destroys a whole practice of rape during war, was completely abolished. So in light of this, if a person wants to promote sex slavery, why would you say that? And remember, people came and said, oh, you've got a soft spot for those women and children, don't you? And he stood his ground. He says, you know who I am? And those alleged, I guess, would-be potential rapists backed off and said, okay, I'm sorry. So my question to you here is, how do you explain this? How do you explain a person who is promoting sex slavery telling people nobody's allowed to enter into their homes? How do you explain that?
Okay, see. So here's the very Sahih Hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari 4038. Allah's messenger sent a group of persons to Abu Rafi. Abu bin Atiq entered his house at night while he was sleeping and killed him.
Yes,
This
correct.
is okay, hear me out. This is how you guys committed jihad. You killed people when they were sleeping and then had their women and asked your Allah to put a dream in their mind when a moon fell into their laps and made them forget about their parents being killed in their sleep in their houses. Okay, that's a very good story. I'll let the audience decide what they make
Sure.
of it.
Yeah,
So you
definitely.
guys have entered people's house and killed people in their sleep, and this is not the only hadith. I can quote you Bukhari 371, where you guys are rubbing thighs and then attacking people when they were least expecting. What are you saying, Nadir? Have you lost your mind or what?
So, yeah, there were definitely targeted assassinations. That is absolutely true. But what I think we're comparing apples and oranges over here. What I'm talking about is an army laying siege to a city. Okay, so before he laid siege to the city, he said, listen, all the men, women, and anybody who enters the house of Abu Sufyan will be safe. Just drop your weapons, you'll be safe. And he protected the women and children from that. My point to you is, a person who's promoting sex slavery wouldn't do that. You'd be like, go in there, rape them all, and take those women out of the houses, just like we have seen all throughout history. But Muhammad abolishes this practice.
Let me show you just that.
Hold on a second.
Let me just
My point.
mention.
I don't think you are
Okay,
able to answer that. And what's up with this? The people who showed sexual deviation, who said, "Oh, you've got a soft spot for those women and children." I mean, paraphrasing. You should have said, "Oh no, wait a second. If he was a false prophet, he would have said, "Oh, I'm sorry about that. You guys are upset. My false religion. People are going to walk away from it. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Of course, you could go into those homes
10 seconds.
and take those women and children, just like you read in the Bible, because you have sex slavery in the Bible. That's why the Christians will never show up for tonight's debate. So my point here is, how do you explain Muhammad telling people, the invading army, about this? Do you have any explanation?
yeah, maybe Christians won't. But I think sex slavery in their books is not as bad as it is in your books, and it is horrible what is written in your books. And you said that there were not armies invading; there were assassination attempts. Let me show you what armies did. Could you please share my screen, James Kunj?
As long as you stop sharing once you're done.
Okay, I'm so sorry. The people came out for their jobs. Some of them said Muhammad has come. Some of our companions added with his army. We conquered Khyber, took the captives, and the booty was collected. They were out for their jobs, and you attacked them. And you attacked those unsuspecting people of Khyber. And you took their women. Did they also get dreams of moon in their laps so that they were wanting to have sex with those guys who have just killed their family? Nadir, what are you saying? And let me just ask you while I'm at it. Before the attack, what is this guy doing? Matlab, like, I just had this very important question to all the Muslims. He uncovered his thigh, and I saw the whiteness of his thigh when he entered the town. Before this is happening, before the war on Khyber, when they were out on jobs. And he was riding behind the Prophet, and his knees were rubbing the thighs. What is this happening? I just want to know. Matlab, just out of curiosity. Because you're not being good to the debate, and this question seems interesting. Nadir, please answer.
Yeah, I don't think you're answering my question. I mean, the whole attack of Khyber is, doesn't prove anything and in no way answers the question I'm asking you. In Khyber, they never enter the homes of people. Okay, the only people who are fought are people who are combatants. And even in the text you are showing, nowhere does it explicitly say that non-combatants were attacked, or they were non-combatant women were taken slaves. It just was not in the text you quoted. So I return back to the question you're running away from, which you've been running the whole night tonight away from. How do you explain Muhammad abolishing the practice of rape during war? He told all the women and children, he said everybody who enters the homes will be safe. How do you explain that? And you have no explanation tonight, just like I don't know, I was thinking you were going to make some kind of false assumption like you did with the whole slave girls thing, but that didn't make any sense. You also was never able to explain to us why Muhammad would say things like, give them the best education. That's not from the 7th century. That's not from the 12th century. That's not even from the 18th century. Because giving your slaves the best education, that destroys the entire institution of slavery. You see,
Well,
because you know what happens when you educate people, slaves? They're going to want their freedom. And Muhammad gave all the slaves their freedom. I keep forgetting to bring that reference to you. Well, as soon as I come up next, I'll show you how all the slave girls are freed. I keep forgetting to do that. Sorry about that.
also, we're going to jump into the Q&A shortly. So we'll give these guys maybe another 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll jump into the Q&A. So if you happen to have questions, do get those in. You can tag me with at Modern Day Debate in the live chat here at Modern Day Debate on YouTube, or you can also use the super chat. That will push your question to the top of the list. And go ahead, heated debates.
Thank you. As I said, that they were not allowed to enter the houses of people and kill them, as I've explicitly shown in that Bukhari hadith, that they did in groups. Group of persons entered houses and killed people when they were sleeping, and then had sex with their spouses, basically. And in Khyber, I showed them that they attacked with an army when they were least suspecting. They were out on their jobs and they killed them, and they took their women captive. So these guys had no more. They attacked whenever they wanted, and when they have killed their parents and brothers, then it is okay for them to have sex with people. And when he asked that you couldn't show me a single reference of a girl being raped, yes, Safia reference was a very good reference of a girl being raped because she hated. And maybe you could be right there, right? He may have convinced her before he had sex with her, but that happening in 3 days of time is pretty uncommon sensical, I'd say, right? So even if he convinced him after killing, not, I'm sorry, even if he convinced her after killing her father and brother, and so that is good, and that is still kind of a manipulative rape for me, because that girl still hates you, and you are manipulating her into believing that she wants to have sex with you. That is a pretty good thing there, rape. And the second reference that I showed you of rape is that even the Muslims didn't want to have sex with girls whose husbands were still alive.
10
But
seconds.
Muhammad is saying, go and have sex with them. This is what Allah wants. I've shown you the Sahih references. What else do you want, brother? What else can't you read?
Yeah, what else do I want? I want you to stop making your false assumptions on the text. That would be really nice. So we've already talked about that. You can't change fake people. If somebody's fake, they're fake. And that's just how they're going to be. And I think that's what we learned in tonight's debate. You got a lot of fake people out there. This is a debate of fake versus fact. And here's a reference I keep forgetting to bring to you. Allah's messenger did not leave a dinar or a dirham or male or female slave. He left only his white mule on which he used to ride. So the point here is, eventually, all the slaves, whether male or female, were all freed, and that is because this is what is explicitly written in the Quran, where it encourages you to set your slaves free. There were some overlap, which I did not get to address in tonight's debate, the whole issue of slavery in general versus sex slavery. I didn't get a chance to address those points why people were not allowed to leave under slavery and the price of a slave and things like that. I just got bogged down on so many other issues. So if I didn't address some of the arguments you heard tonight, it's not because I don't have an answer. It's because it's just a matter of time, and I did not get a chance to do that. But definitely, I'd like to have a debate on Islam and slavery, because you will see more miraculous things, like the whole thing about educating slaves. This is consistent evidence that, the point about educating a slave is so bonkers that there's no way a man in the 7th century, a Muhammad himself, who was an illiterate man, is telling you to not only educate a slave, but telling you to educate a woman. How many layers of absurdities going on? And of course, it's all good teachings. But my point to you here is, if you read the Islamic text, don't you beat them? Don't you even slap them? Oh, and give them the best education. Those are not the type of teachings which are from the 7th century. Those are not from the 12th century. Those are not from the 18th century. This is evidence that this is clearly from Almighty God. And that's why I believe in Allah and the one true God, and not some rapist monkey, which my opponent believes in, which he was never able to explain how he is objecting to rape tonight when he is worshiping a rapist monkey, because, in the DNA of monkeys, they rape other monkeys.
15
And he's
seconds.
worshiping the monkey god Hanuman. I still don't understand that. And that's why Allah, and not the monkey god, is a true God.
We will jump into the Q&A. Do want to say a couple of things housekeeping wise, folks. First, I forgot to mention, if you have not yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We have many more debates coming up here at Modern Day Debate. We are very excited about the future, including DebateCon. So, folks, we mentioned our in-person debate conference maybe 3 weeks ago. We are pushing the date just a little bit further out because we found it's extra hard to find a date that works for everybody. But that is going to be a big debate conference with 4 to 5 debates, some on politics, some on religion. You don't want to miss it. So hit that subscribe button, and that way you will not miss out on those epic debates. This first question coming in from Fat Ass Dog says, if
James,
Islam
can I reply to his last points? Just it just require me just 1.5 seconds, 1.5
let's see.
minutes.
I think everybody let's see. I'm trying to remember who went first. I think Nadir did go first. So I am willing to let you have the last word on this particular closing. So you got a minute and a half, and then we will go into the Q&A.
Thank you, my dear brother. So you think that some monkeys do involve in something called rape, and so all the monkeys that you think of and you worship are rapists. So does humans, uh, humankind basically. So should I call your Rasulullah rapist based on that argument? That is stupid, and I just want to iterate that. And his Rasul was actually very against freedom of slaves, and that is being proven by this Sunan Nasai Sahih Hadith. A man freed 6 slaves of his when he was dying, and he did not have any wealth apart from them. News of that reached the Prophet, and he was angry about that because he freed slaves. He was angry. And then he said, I was thinking not offering funeral prayer for him. Okay, if this guy freed slaves, I do not want to even offer funeral prayer for that guy because he freed slaves. Then he called the slaves and divided them into 3 groups. He cast among them, then freed 2 and left 4 as slaves. The guy who had freed 6 of his slaves, Rasulullah was angry with him. He called 6 of his slaves and just freed 2. and kept 4 as slaves again. And he says that Rasulullah did not have any slaves and he was dying because he could not have sex after he was dead. It's plain and simple.
We'll jump
As
in
long as he lived, he had a lot of slaves, Maria Al Kiftia, and a lot
and
of slaves. The only child that he had was with a
time.
slave. He was
We'll
fond of having
jump
sex with
into
slaves.
that
Go ahead.
Q&A section. Want to say thanks for your questions, folks. If you'd like to submit questions, you can either tag me in the live chat with your question by tagging me with @ModernDayDebate. Otherwise, Super Chat is an option that pushes your question to the top of the list. We're going to jump right into it with this first question from, as I mentioned, Fat Ass Dog says, if Islam doesn't promote pedophilia, then why is child marriage normal in the middle? And why can't they have age consent laws?
Mhm. So this is way off topic. I don't know what this has to do with the issue of sex slavery, but that's a very good sign. What this is showing is that the audience are not able to find holes in my argument, that I've argued an airtight case tonight showing how Islam actually condemns sex slavery. And so that's a good thing. Now, the whole issue about child marriage, these things, Islam does not promote child marriage. It's off topic. I would ask the audience, let's talk about what we talked about tonight. Let's talk about, show me the holes in my arguments. Show me where I've gone wrong. Let's not go off topic and talk about these other things. Show me where I'm wrong. That's what I'd like to talk about.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Tobus says, the Yazidi girls held as sex slaves in Muslim lands right now must be grateful for the example of Muhammad.
Yeah, this is another fake person in the audience, apparently. Look, again, I repeat my request. I have argued an airtight case from the Islamic scriptures. The ISIS people and people like that, they actually are just following their own ridiculous assumptions. They're fake, just like you. Look, I'm going to help you out. Google this. Google keyword search? What motivates terrorists? You will find many scholarly articles from researchers and others on them, and that's where you should get your information from. Not a single researcher have researched that says, yeah, it's Islam which is motivating ISIS. Of course not. Okay, so the
Nadir,
reason
then why
hold on,
the,
let me finish. The reason why ISIS did what they did to the Yazidi girls is because of Bashar Assad. It was Bashar Assad who began raping the Syrian women and took them as sex slaves. And so a group of ISIS basically said, oh, okay, what are we doing here being nice guys? If you rape our women, we will rape your women. That's how that happened. So again, Google the research and you'll see nobody blames Islam for that. Go ahead.
Another just one question. Why is Saudi Arabia one of the last countries to abolish slavery? If you guys are so against slavery, and sex
Yeah.
slavery in one form or the other is still practiced in Saudi Arabia. There are dark web applications to buy slaves from Pakistan and India. Why is that so?
Yeah.
Why are you guys so
So,
filthy?
okay. And this is coming from a guy worshiping a rapist monkey, and you're calling us filthy. Okay.
I'll give you the
All right.
last
That
word,
makes
Nadir, and
sense.
then we got to go to the next
Yeah.
question.
That comes under the topic of slavery. I've been calling for that debate for the longest, but it is you people who are running away from that debate. The issue about slavery is different from the issue of sex slavery. Trying to juggle both topics is kind of difficult. So again, I repeat to the whole audience and everybody, let's stick to the topic of what we debated here tonight. Where is the error in my logic? If I just made a complete fool out of myself, I'm just some kind of clown. This is the best time to expose me for what I am. So let's stick to the topic.
We just did that, Nadir. We really
Let
exposed
let the
you.
audience decide who's a clown. Okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
James.
This one coming in from Ashwani Myra says, hi, VR Milty, H Apke channel prequest for Nadir. Some day ago, Daniel accepted that Islam promotes sex slavery. So he is a liar according to you?
I don't want to talk bad about him, but unfortunately, there are some people who are misinformed and they need to get educated. As you could see in tonight's debate, we went deep into the text. We went to the original sources and we showed, and really, honestly, if you've watched this debate, you've got more knowledge on the issue of concubine, sex slavery than Daniel or anybody has tonight. I don't think there is a debate out there that has went into the level of detail we have went into. So this is just a matter of education. Everybody's got to get educated, and so they won't be making those type of fallacious statements. Go ahead.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Even Lord says, to both debaters, what different religion do you like the most, and what different religion do you dislike the most? Also, was slavery moral in the past? I
Mhm.
think they mean
Yeah,
like in an objective sense.
yeah. So again, the whole issue of slavery and Islam, I didn't get a chance to touch on that topic. It's very difficult balancing both, but I'm ready to debate the topic of Islam and slavery, and you will also see miraculous things in that debate as well. But in terms of which debate, I'm sorry, which religion I probably dislike the most, well, it has to be Hinduism. And the reason why is because if you go to India today, you will see children sifting through garbage, and there's a big fat cow right next to them. Hindus, like my monkey worshiping friend here, they will prefer for children to starve rather than killing that cow that just went right by them and using their skin to sell it as leather and feeding their family. That is a level of evil which is just unfathomable. So I will ask my opponent, which is worse? Would you prefer these children to eat that cow and or do you prefer them to starve so that the cow can live? Which one is it? Heated?
So
This one
it's
coming,
my time to answer. It's my time to answer.
sure.
So I just stayed with the topic and about slavery. Even before Prophet Muhammad was born, there have been documents and laws written which explicitly prohibit exploitation of slaves. You can go through Chanakya Niti Arthashastra, where there are punishments for people who indulge into sexual activities with servants in against of their wishes. So I love Hinduism for all those things. And what religion I hate most is Islam, because they are killing people for saying bad things about somebody who claims to have traveled to heaven on a donkey. Right. They are still killing people for that. They are killing people for not believing into what they believe in. They are raping women for not believing into what they believe in. This is why I hate Islam. And then I'd like to remind you of that hadith where that guy killed a mother, slave, a mother of his children, and because she didn't agree to him, she didn't agree to his beliefs, and the way he killed him. In another hadiths, you can find that their son was smeared with the blood of their mother because that woman didn't agree to that guy's point of view. So I really, really dislike Islam.
This one coming in
I feel
from, even Lord says, oh, we got, wait, in terms of your favorite religion, other than, I think they mean other than your own, and least favorite, would you have any preferences? Would you say that there are others that you would say, yeah, I really like that one, or I especially dislike that one?
Mhm. Well, let me first. I'm going to share my screen over here.
No, this Nadir, I
Okay,
think what you're saying
uh,
when you say
okay,
that, you're saying, I'm not going to answer that right now. I'm going to answer a different question now, but then
okay. You're
maybe
right.
I'll
I'm
get
sorry.
to
I'm
yours.
sorry. Okay, yeah. To answer your question, I'd probably say Judaism. Judaism is very close to Islam. Jews and actually the Jewish rabbis, they actually believe that we worship the same God. They follow a law. So there's a lot of similarities between Islam and Judaism. If as far as my favorite religion after Islam.
Heated debate, any
after
preference?
Hinduism, I really love teachings of Buddha, and because we don't have the concept of religion, so in our concept, he is believed to be teaching the same things that Vedas did. So I love Buddhism, and yeah, if you don't understand Vedas, go for Buddhism. That is my thing.
This one coming in from Minav Yadav says, ask this no-brainer. Okay. They say, ask this person to shut up with this Arabic language supremacy. Oh my goodness. Translations have been done by highly regarded scholars of Islam and Arabic, not us. I think that might be for you, Nadir.
The issue about how a text is being translated from English to Arabic was never an issue in tonight's debate. I don't know what he's talking about. So he probably should watch the debate. I guess is what I would ask him to do. He
I
probably might
think
have
it's
just walked in.
at one point, I think it was because you said the heated debates something to the effect of like, well, because you don't know the Arabic, let me explain this to you.
Well,
And
that was look Arab. Yeah, to that point, heated debate says no. In the Arabic, it says only Islamic education. So I went back to the text and I showed you that's not the case. It did not say that in the text. That was another one of his false assumptions. And I said, okay, you can read Arabic. All right, now this guy can read Arabic. Whoever can read Arabic, I can post the hadith again. You will see that what heated debate was saying is clearly not in the text, that it's only Islamic education. So that's another one of his false assumptions he imposed upon the text.
So,
this,
Asadan Talim is the best of teachings, basically. So, this is Quran and Sunnah according to Islam. That is what I
What?
was trying to tell him.
That's ridiculous. Okay.
this one coming in from A Creation says, which is best, education in Islam or they say Islam, Islami or worldly?
So we're going back to the hadith, which really proves that Muhammad is a true prophet. So it actually it doesn't really matter if it's Islamic education or not, because this is a theocracy. So even if you're being educated in as a in theocratic education, that's still going to make you go up higher in rank because now you're up there with the elites. And it's not just, remember, there's two parts of this. It was also at any time, these slave girls can have a one on one meeting with Muhammad at any time where they could report any kind of abuses. And that would once again elevate their position, because obviously, if you have a friend who's got a direct access to President Biden, that makes the person very important. So, my point here is this: these are not the type of things you give to slaves. Get the best education, or you got one-on-one access anytime, anything that bothers you, you come talk to me. So my point, which my opponent couldn't answer, and I'll ask you guys, where are these teachings coming from? That's not from the 7th century. That's not coming from the 12th century or even the 18th century. People never believed and thought like these things. So that's evidence
Exactly.
that what we have here is coming from God.
So are the teachings of having sex with women when their husbands are still alive. So are the teachings of killing their slave mother of their children because she abused somebody you like. So are the teachings of
Yeah.
beating them badly when they try to dress up, when they try to cover their breast. So are the teachings of when you are going to buy a slave, put a hand in their buttocks to check if they are sexy enough for you or not. Do you want reference for that? I can show you.
Yeah, we could talk about it, but that doesn't answer my question. You see, I think you've ran away
Yeah,
from my question.
this is
Cowardly
Ahsanul
ran away.
Talim. This is
Yeah.
the best
Okay.
Talim.
You're
Because
engaging in mockery and ridicule.
what is Ahsan than Quran and Sunnah
Yeah.
in eyes of
Okay.
Islam?
No, it's not actually. Muhammad also educated people in science. Did you know that? You see, once
The
again,
science of eating a poop
you
smoothie.
no. Okay, listen.
Sunan Abi
You're
Dawud
hold on a
67.
second.
Read it out.
You're wait a
What
second.
is
Let
that?
me finish my point. Okay, let me finish my point.
This guy.
Muhammad also educated people in science. So education is clearly not only defined as religious, and I'll show you a reference for that. So this is because you're fake. You're ignorant, you're credulous, and you're just making false assumptions one after the other. So that's what was clear in
Please
tonight's
stop
debate.
abusing
Okay.
me, Nadir. Please
And
stop
so,
abusing
but
me.
you never answered my question. When I asked my question, he said, well, let me show you all the alleged bad things which Islam also promotes. But that doesn't answer my question. Still, those are not the type of teachings which come from the 7th century. And this is consistent with what we know a true
Brother,
prophet
what kind of
to be
teachings you want?
okay.
There, this guy
Okay.
trying to
We'll
behead a
jump to
slave for
the.
Okay.
freeing
But
himself.
that doesn't okay. Well, the problem, the
That is
fake,
even poorer than the 7th century teaching.
but okay. No, the
Even
I'll
problem
give.
is
people
I'll
were
give you a really
civilized more
quick.
than that.
I'll give you a
Dear
pithy
brother, what
response,
are you saying?
Nadir. Then we got to go to the
yeah.
next one.
How are you?
Yeah, you were the
What?
problem is all the issues which you have raised about killing, they've all been refuted in tonight's debate.
You have
Okay,
answered
so
none of them.
they
Hold
have
on.
all
I
been
want to give
refuted.
Nadir a chance to answer
But
before you ask another
even
question.
if, but see, it goes against you. You're destroying yourself. Let's pretend you won this debate. Then how do you
Nadir,
explain a
tell
person
me
who is an
one
let me
hadith
Hold on.
that
talk.
you have
Just
Hold
heated
on,
answered.
let
debates.
me
I
talk.
promise. We'll give you a chance to respond. A
Okay,
really
Whatever you
pithy
say,
you
one,
brother.
but
have
we do have to
have
let him
dis
finish his
yeah,
sentence.
you
Just
have
while I'm talking, Nadir, let me just
I'm
talk
sorry.
to him. Go ahead, Nadir.
You have handed me the debate. Let's agree that everything he's saying is true. Fine. So, an alleged barbarian who did all these crimes that you are claiming did, why would he turn around and say, now give them the best education, one on one meetings, don't enter their homes? A barbarian would never say these things. So, thank you for handing me this debate tonight if we were to accept what you're saying is true.
All right, heated. Really pithy response. What have you got?
Okay, he's making me fall asleep. As I've told you, this is actually barbarian that you're killing your mother of your children for not believing into what you believe in, and then that guy is not punishing you for anything. You are barbarian for putting a hand in a slave's buttocks to check out if they are good enough for you or not. You are barbarian for slicing their throat if they try to run away from you from all those rapes. You are barbarian. And if that is the education that your Allah endorses, nobody should get that education. If somebody is getting that education, he
Mhm.
should be
This one coming
punished
in
for getting that education.
from
You,
Manav Yadav says, ask this. There you go with that one. A creation. We got Fat Ass Dog says to Nadir, if it was legal, would you marry a minor?
No, no, no. Islam, again, we're off topic here. Islam actually discourages from marrying minors. That's not the topic of tonight's debate. I'd ask the person who answers this question, talk about tonight's debate. Talk about all the errors in logic I made. Because I tell you what, you guys are going to be writing in the comments, oh, you're this and this and bring those arguments right here. Show me how I have made mistakes in tonight's debate on the topic of sex slavery. That's what I'm here to talk about.
This one coming in from, appreciate your question. Games News, thanks for your super chat. Let me know if you had a question you wanted to attach to it. Even Lord says, doesn't both Hinduism and Islam claim a flat earth? That is off topic. But I'll give you guys a chance if you want to say yes
no,
or
but
no.
I'd want to answer that. You can read Surya Siddhantika. The earth has there been mentioned by the term Bhugol, and it has been explicitly explained that you are never at top or bottom because earth is round. Surya Siddhantika, the term Bhugol, just give a just give a overlook there, and you'd
Yeah.
find out.
Well, I can, yeah. So the issue of flat earth, no, Islam and the Quran does not teach a flat earth, but I don't see Hindus debating scientific errors in their books. We as Muslims would love to debate alleged scientific errors, and we have been championing that debate right here on Modern Day Debate, and all those debates were rallied to victory. Do you know how we know? Because those people who are the atheists and Christians and other apologists on this channel, they have now all ran away from that debate because they know it is unwinnable for them. And now they're trying to debate ignorant people like, so I won't mention their names just to make themselves look good. So that's the evidence I present to you that Islam has won the debate on science and we are on the road to victory. But I'm ready to debate that anytime. Hindus don't. They run away from that.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Satya and Vashi says, Nadir, you represented that sex slavery is prohibited in Islam. Islam is clear holding things quote unquote haram. No such reference. They said Allah wasn't clear. Hashtag shameful.
I don't know how that relates to tonight's debate. I mean, the clear teachings which I showed tonight is that if you even slap a slave girl, if a master slaps a slave girl, the expiation is to free that slave. If you can't even slap or beat a slave, how are you gonna engage in the type of sexual violence which we find in sex slavery. That just doesn't make sense. Was it not clear you give them the best education? Is that not clear for you? Was it not clear that Islam taught that one-on-ones, anytime the slave girl, she could grab the hand of Muhammad and they could have a discussion and talk? Was that not clear for you? Was it not clear for you that Juwaira also was given a choice when she did not want to be with that particular person? So the
Any
problem here is it's clear, but you don't want to accept it.
and looks like heated debates. You had something you want to
I
share?
want to, yeah, I wanted to add on that because forget about slapping. You can slice their throats and their stomach uh, because they are your slaves, and those are these and perpetrators of those crimes have gone fully unpunished in Sahih Hadiths. So there's that. And to answer that, the previous question, yes, here's an exact reference of Surya Siddhantika 12.53. Thus, everywhere on terrestrial globe, Bhugola people supposed to suppose their own place higher. Yet this globe is in a space where there is no above or below. So we have been arguing that Earth is a globe, and you can check the reference. You can take a screenshot, right? So we do not have a flat Earth in Hinduism.
This one coming in from, do appreciate your question. Even Lord says the Turkish Muslims loved Byzantine women so much that Turkish people today are around 45 to 60% Greek, Byzantine. The caliph's harem was European women.
Mm-hmm. So I like what's happening in the question and answer. I like this question. Why I like it so much is because what's happening is they're gravitating away from the Islamic scriptures. They know they can't make a case from there. I like that. They couldn't go to the Quran. They couldn't go to the Hadith. So now they're like 600, 700 years out away from Islam and talking about what individual caliphs did. And maybe I could score some points here. Well, certainly Islam didn't have a police policy to basically make sure everybody is following the rules which were laid out. But I like the question because this goes back to what I'm saying. I think I argued an airtight case tonight. Nobody's finding fault in my arguments, and so that's a good feeling.
This one coming in from, do appreciate your question. Barbara. Nadir, can you show the punishment for rape, not adultery, in Islam? If not, why are you expecting rape to be mentioned explicitly in this case?
Mm-hmm. So you want to see the punishment for rape? Absolutely. The punishment for rape is that they are to be stoned to death. I'll find you the hadith, which is found inside, which I'll get for you in just a second over here. But the point here, I like what you said because she did acknowledge one of the arguments I said tonight, that she does now acknowledge, right, because the actual, if you look for an example of somebody being raped in Islam or a slave girl being raped, that's just not there. Okay, that is not found in our Islamic scriptures. That's all assumptions which people make because they are ignorant of our text. So I will, if you give me a minute here, I will actually find you the exact reference where somebody committed a rape. They used violence against that person, or actually, the person actually confessed to that doing a rape, and that person was stoned to death. And so, if you give me a minute, I will find it. I'll find it for you. I don't. I lost my references here. So go
This one
ahead,
coming
please.
in from Allah says Allah only changes women's heart, not their family. I don't know what they mean by
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Well, it's just all. I think this is all. He understood my argument. Why would you have consensual sexual relations? Um, And so because Allah changed that woman's heart. So he's
What he is
engaging.
asking is,
Yeah,
let me just paraphrase this question because to make you understand better. He's
yeah,
saying that after their family has been murdered, Allah is changing the heart of women
right.
for them to have sex with the Muslims.
Mhm.
Why is he not changing the hearts of their family before they are being killed? That is his question.
Yeah. So there are some people who are condemned to hell. Remember what Muhammad said, because when she was upset, said, "Why'd you kill my family?" Remember what Muhammad said. Well, he was fighting against me. He was doing all these bad things to me. So there are some people who are condemned to the hellfire. That's clear. And then some people God saves. Sophia was somebody who the Lord has saved from perdition. I'm sorry, here's the hadith which I quoted about a person who committed a rape. His punishment was to be stoned to death. It says over here, this guy, he admitted to committing a rape. He said, the prophet said to her, go away, to the girl, Allah has forgiven you. But he told the man some good words, and the man who had intercourse with her, and he said, stone him to death. That's the punishment for rape in Islam.
Still no word for
Yeah.
rape here, right?
Yeah, no,
That is
this is
what
rape.
he's
It
actually
states very
asking.
clearly that a woman went out at the time of the prophet prayer and a man attacked her and overpowered her. She shouted and he went off. And when the man came by, she said, that man did such and such to me. This is clear. It's talking about rape. Please read carefully. You
It
see,
is as clear as that I
yeah.
hated
You
him
you are just
most in the world. It is as
engaging
clear
in
as
your
that.
false
Must
assumptions again.
move forward.
Okay,
This one
so let's
from
move forward. You've been
Barbara
refuted.
says, Nadir, do you believe coerced consent can be valid? If not, how do you believe that prisoners of war and slaves can provide a valid consent?
So person can be coerced into consent. Is that what you're saying? Uh, could it happen where a person could be coerced? It could happen, but during the life of Prophet Muhammad, this never happened. What the prophetic example, remember, what was a prophetic example to the woman who began pouring dust on her head because she started protesting? Uh, Muhammad said, put her aside, get her away. He said, take that she devil away from me. So there's one woman, Rihanna. Rihanna didn't like Islam and she was captured and given as a gift to Muhammad. The text literally state Muhammad stayed away from her. And then the second reference was Juwaira. She said, I don't want to be with this guy. Muhammad said, can I offer you as myself? He said, yeah, I'll take that. 3 examples of slave girls. Each one of them were given options when they didn't like. You don't coerce them and say, listen, if you have sex with me, then I'll feed you tonight or something. No, that goes against the prophetic example.
This one coming in from, do appreciate your question.
Just can I add something to
If
that?
you have a pithy, quick one, yeah.
Yeah, very quick one. Why not extend that courtesy to Safia? Because she is explicitly saying that she hated him. Why coerce her, convince her, manipulate her? Why? Because she is explicitly saying that she hated him. Why not free her?
Yeah, I can answer that. He did. I've read it to you like 4 times tonight in tonight's debate, where Muhammad literally said,
After
I
killing
will
his
set you
family
free.
and his tribe, right?
Okay, so your problem is, you are refusing. I don't know what's in your head that I'm literally reading it word for word to you, and it's just not sinking in. And I don't know what's going on with your brain.
Okay, is
It
that
literally
or not
stated in the
after
text.
killing his family and his
Okay,
tribe,
yes,
men of his
yes.
tribe? Please tell me that.
Okay,
All right, then
yes,
we got to
that's
go to the next question.
okay. Everybody's read it, and you are just left out in the dust here. Okay, go ahead.
This one, Ashwani says, just answering me, Nadir, is Daniel a liar when he said, I think that Nadir says that Daniel's just misinformed. He answered that question earlier.
Yeah, he's
So I think
misinformed.
that would mean that he's not a liar. He's just read the wrong materials. Watosh Sharma says, modern day, I think that's at least what you were saying before, Nadir.
Yeah,
He said,
and I apologize for Daniel. I know he said some things, and I think it has misrepresented Islam. So I'll apologize on his behalf.
Ashutosh Sharma says, modern day, ask Nadir, please tell us, according to him, what is the rape?
What is what?
They say, what is the grape? Like, what is, that's all they say. I don't know what they mean with
Uh,
the
what is a grape or
context.
great? I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Because super
Ashutosh,
chat doesn't
no,
allow
not
you to use
actual
those words.
grapes.
He is
It's
asking what is rape according to him.
Oh, what
Because
is
super chat
rape?
doesn't allow the use of that word actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I get it. What is rape is when a man forces himself upon a woman sexually. That's pretty clear. Nobody's redefining rape here. But what I'm also pleasantly surprised from all the questions which are coming in, nobody is buying into heated debates arguments. They're asking me some good questions here, seeing if they can bypass some of his ridiculous arguments he's raised tonight and try to score some points. So I think that's really good that no one is embracing what you're stating, Heated, and a lot of your followers are here. Okay, so rape
Nadir,
is rape. We all know
nobody
what that
has
is.
questions on my
Okay,
arguments.
why are
Everybody
they
is
not
questioning
using your wonderful
you.
arguments here tonight against me, Heated?
My
Huh?
dear, very commonsensical brother, but I'm
Okay,
telling you,
where are the
they
people saying it's common
they
sense,
have
Nadir?
they have
It's common
problem with
sense.
your arguments. That is why they are raising so much questions to you. Are you
Nobody's
He
total
must go
buying
to the
brain
into
next
what you're
electrical
one.
saying,
thing?
Heated.
All right.
Oh my
Baba
God.
says, what education is better than Islamic education?
Well, Prophet Muhammad taught real science from the Greeks and the Romans, and there's authentic hadith about that. He also taught about how to that medical malpractice. That was also taught. If you look in the hadith and the Quran, even in the Quran, but if you look in the hadith, you will find many hadith where Muhammad is not teaching religion, but is teaching modern science. And so that is a sunnah. The sunnah is also to learn from science. So I think what people are doing, they're like, and I like it. They're saying, yeah, Nadir, you're right. The text doesn't say Islamic education, but isn't that really the only option out there? I'm glad you've accepted my argument tonight. That's not what the text says, but I'm showing you that's not the only option, because there is also the option of learning real modern science. And this goes back to the point where I think the audience is convinced that a person from the 7th century would never say something so preposterous as giving your slaves the best education, which would cause them to revolt. That's what happens when you do
Okay,
that to
I just
slaves.
have to add one thing to this, right? The scientific knowledge that Muhammad gave, according to him, you can watch a debate on that whole topic, which I and Nadir had a few months back, I'd say. You should definitely check that out just to get an idea of how scientific
Yes.
was Muhammad.
This one
Mm-hmm.
coming in from Casual Gamer says, when is the debate Nadir Ahmed versus Adam Seeker coming? That I don't know.
Adams. Oh, I can tell
Barbara
you.
says, Nadir, can you explain what ad hominem fallacy is?
Yeah, ad hominem is where you attack your opponent personally. But going back to the issue of Adam Seeker, I have issued many challenges to him. It is Adam Seeker who is running away from modern day debate. It is Adam Seeker and all those
Okay, so you're
so-called
not answering the
Christian
most recent question.
apologists.
So we'll go to the next one.
Yeah.
Baba
Okay,
says,
I'm sorry.
Nadir, show one slave who became elite with education.
Well, we don't have, I mean, Islam doesn't go into all the details of, okay, well, here he's graduating from such and such university. We don't have that, but what we could show you is where when there were some captives taken, the Prophet Muhammad, said, listen, if you just teach people how to read and write, you can get your freedom. There's authentic hadith on that. So there's clear references into of where Islam encouraged slaves to get educated. And that is preposterous. See, I'm glad people in the audience are seeing the preposterous nature of telling slaves to get the ahsanut ta'lim, the best education, because that's just not from the 7th century. Now, as far as where they went with that, stuff like that, I don't know.
This
We don't have
one
any reference on that.
from Ravi says, Nadir, they say, Nadir didn't answer my question. Will he be happy if someone unalive Nadir, his son-in-law, and sleep with his daughter same time?
I'm I'm sorry, I don't understand. What's the question about
She
sleep?
cannot write killed because super chat doesn't allow that. So if she
Uh,
is asking that if somebody killed you, your son-in-law, and your son, would your daughter want to have sex with that guy?
yeah.
That's the question.
So yeah,
Thank
so
you.
if you just take a pair of scissors and you just read that story, you could say, right, common sense is that you would not want to do that. But what does the text say? The text says she was willing. Why? Because God changed her heart. It is God who is guiding her, and God showed her that her family were nothing more than kuffar. They're the enemies of Allah, and that's why she says, I don't want Judaism. So here's my point, which I made with Heated. If you don't believe in the story, that's fine. You don't believe in it, but don't misquote the text. Don't just cut out the pieces you think I don't agree with, and I'm just going to stick with what I agree with what he did. You know who did that? Thomas Jefferson did that. He took the New Testament and he tore out every single incident of a miracle story of Jesus because he said this is preposterous. I don't believe in this stuff. And I
We'll
think
jump
that
to the next one.
his yeah.
Shwani Myra says, your PDF file, Mo married a minor, Nadir.
Oh, this is way off topic tonight, and it's very good. Another instance where somebody wants to attack Islam, but they can't attack the topic because I've argued an airtight case tonight. Hey, why don't you borrow some of the crap you heard from heated debate? Use some of those wonderful arguments against me. Guess what? You're not, because the guy presented nothing but his own fake understanding of Islam.
James, I just have one question to you. Like, can
Nobody's
I
buying
ask?
your arguments, heated.
What have you
James, can
got,
I just
AC?
ask you one? Yeah,
Yes.
James, I just want to ask that if people are poking holes into his argument and asking questions to him, does that present to you that people are buying his argument? I mean, common sense has been killed multiple times in this debate by Nadir, but just this one thing that he's trying to present. I want your view on that.
You're saying he's getting more questions than you, and you're asking, does that mean, what do you mean by applying his argument? What do you mean?
No, what I'm pointing out is nobody is using heated arguments and say, look, Heated made a very good
Does
point here. Would you
that
avoid it,
mean
Nadir? Nobody
people
is
agree to his
buying into what you're
argument?
saying.
When people are poking holes into his argument and asking questions based on his argument, does that mean people are agreeing to him?
I
No, what
want
it
to
Is
means, you
that
did a
what
point out,
bad
does
job. It
Nadir,
that
means,
hold on,
mean?
Nadir, will you
yeah,
just relax?
I'm sorry.
He explicitly said it was a question for me. One thing that came up in chat as well, folks, is someone said, like, this is a biased channel because there are more questions for Nadir. I have to tell you, folks, like, I don't want to insult your intelligence to assume you actually believe that's a good point or argument, is that a lot of the times there are more questions for a particular speaker because in this case, Heated Debates has a large subscriber base, and a lot of those people have probably been coming over from his live stream as well. But the other thing is, sometimes it's just that today the topic on trial is Islam. So people are going to ask more questions to Nadir probably because that's the kind of topic or religion on trial. It's not which religion is worse. It's purely just looking at Islam and sex slavery today. So that's another factor. The other factor is modern day debate is primarily most of our viewers are atheist. And so a lot of them are going to focus in on Islam because it's the topic. So it's not just Hindu people asking these questions. So, folks, I just want to mention that it's not really indicative of the channel being biased as much as other confounding variables, other things that just happen to be the case, like the composition of the audience. So, I do want to jump to this next one. Victim says, doing sex against his or her will, putting fear, threatening, creating a situation that if not, then life will become hell, is not rape. They say Muhammad has done all of these, right?
Absolutely not. We've never seen any incident. Again, we go back to the references when there was not a single instance of a person being coerced into sexual relations where they have no choice, or else I'm not going to eat, or something like that. Of course, it never happened. So we have another fake person in the audience. But what did happen is when, again, I will repeat again, Sophia, there was two slave girls given to Muhammad, Sophia and another one. When the one who was mourning, throwing dirt on herself, and Muhammad said, "Get this she devil away from me." That's clear. She's not interested. Rehana didn't like Islam. Muhammad stayed away from Rehana. And then there's Juwaira. When she was paired up with somebody, she didn't like that person. So she went to Muhammad and he said, "Can I offer myself to you?" She said, "Yes, I'll take that." So that shows from the Sunnah, women were given options to say, "Nope, I don't want to be with you." No coercion. So I've shared all those references. Please, you can hit pause on your YouTube channel, and you can get all my notes. And of course, you can email me. I can send you my document, and you can get all my references.
Two more. Dawa Dollar Man says embryology in Quran is refuted by embryologists. Okay, this is admittedly off topic. We do want to ask you folks to, in this debate and future debates, to be more on topic. Nadir hasn't prepared for that topics, and it's also, obviously Nadir could just say like, no, it's been supported by embryologists. Uh, We'll give you a chance if you
Right.
want to respond, Nadir. They
Yeah.
say, even though it has nothing to do with our topic
Sure,
today,
I will
embryology.
answer that very clearly. You need to accept the Islamic debate victory on Quran and science as it has been clearly won in here on modern day debate. Look, yes, you're right. We have won, and the embryologists actually support what the Quran is saying on science, but it's more than that. All the so-called challengers here on modern day debate, I won't mention their names, but they have ran away from the challenges that they accepted in public. Only after the camera is off, they indiscreetly cancel those debates. Why did they do that? Because they know that they will not win a debate on Quran and science against me. That's for sure. So
This
it's
one
not that, okay,
from
I
Name
challenge
in
somebody.
Another Language. I hate to do it, but just because now you're just going
No
on about
problem.
it, how everybody's afraid to debate you. This one from a person whose name is another language. Thank you for your question. They say, can you show that any hadith that the permission of a slave is required for sex?
That the permission is required for sex. That's not how Islam legislated it. It gave the prophetic example. It gave a prophetic example what Muhammad did in light of those non consenting women. That's the example you need to follow. Not only that, but what I can show you that if you even slap a slave or hit a slave, the expiation is that you got to set them free. This is how Islam condemned sex slavery or any kind of rape. It didn't do it in the way which you want it, but it did it in a much better way. And not only that, there's one on one meeting. And now this is from the miracles of Prophet Muhammad, how he's able to do it, where at any time some guy is getting aggressive, physical with her, she can get up and say, I want to talk to Muhammad. At any time, she can go to Muhammad and let him know that his prophetic example is not being followed in the house. That's the number one reason why nobody raped their slave girls. It is because you've got somebody in your house who can rat you out at a second's notice. That's why sex slavery doesn't exist in our religion.
That looks like all of our questions. We do have
I want to add something to that, James, if you allow.
we're a little over time, but go ahead.
He has been talking about Rihanna. So here's the Islamic source that is talking about Rihanna. Moreover, he also told her that if she was to accept Islam, he would marry her. Only if she accepted Islam, otherwise she would be a sex slave. According to some sources, initially she is known to have refused that offer out of love for her deceased husband and her faith. However, eventually she changed her mind and converted to Islam. Upon this need, the Holy Prophet freed her and married her. So the Holy Prophet did have sex with Rihanna. He actually waited for her to accept Islam, that I can agree with, but then he married her and had sex with her. Otherwise, she would have been a slave. So
Nadir, any
stop
thoughts?
falsifying your own books here.
Give you a chance to
Nadir.
respond if you want, Nadir.
Oh, yeah. The incident you have shown actually goes against what you have been trying to prove here tonight. She became a Muslim, she accepted Islam, then they had relations. And I just wanted to make one correction, if I may, for just 30 seconds. I don't claim that everybody's running away from me. That's not what I'm claiming. What I am claiming is that they're running away from the accepted debate, which they've done on this channel. Only after the debate, they cancel it. That's the question I want everybody to wonder here. Why did they do that? Why do they lie and deceive? That, oh, yeah, of course I'll accept that challenge to debate Quran and science, only to cancel afterwards. That's a difference.
Nadir,
Juicy.
you lying here. I debated with you on that.
You did
And
good. You're good. I accept. He
you
did your
always
right.
wanted a rematch on that. You were so embarrassed of
No.
that debate. Nadir, don't lie.
I'll defend he did on that. He did accept the challenge and came to debate that. I respect you for that, but not the others.
I love you for that.
Thanks.
This let's see. I will let you guys go. I want to say thank you to our guests
Hey,
today. It
thank
has
you.
been a tremendous debate. They are both linked in the description. And I want to say it's been a true pleasure to have you, gentlemen. Folks, that poll is still active in the Modern Day Debate live chat here on YouTube, asking whether or not you think Islam promotes sex slavery. It has over 1,000 votes. So a lot of times people stop in, vote, and then sometimes they have to leave early. So
Mhm.
that poll is still up. I'm going to let our speakers go. I'll be back in a moment with a post-credit scene, letting you know about upcoming debates. But I want to say a huge thank you to Heated Debates and Nadir. It's been a true pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
James.
Bye.
Folks, stick around. I'll be back in just a moment on this live stream.
Yeah. I'm that guy. Get out of here.
Amazing. Want to say thanks for being with us, folks. And we do indeed have many upcoming debates coming up. You don't want to miss them, so do hit that subscribe button. And if you have not yet checked out the Modern Day Debate podcast, all of our debates are on the podcast within about 24 hours of being live. So if you like listening to podcasts, maybe you use Podcast Addict, maybe you use, who knows, iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can listen to Modern Day Debates there, and that way you can listen to them on the go. It's amazing. So, highly encourage you to check those out. But I want to say thank you for all of your support. We really do appreciate it. That poll is in the live chat. I'm about to wrap it up for the final tally. But I want to say thank you for all of your support of Modern Day Debate. I see you there in the live chat, The Flash. And also, thanks for subscribing. Seriously, we do appreciate your support. The Flash, thanks for being a subscriber. Shivansh Singh, thanks for being a subscriber. Geeta Singh, thank you for being a subscriber here at Modern Day Debate. The Prophet of Logic, thanks for being a subscriber. X, thanks for being with us. Vikash Sharma, thanks for being here. Froggy Krugler, good to see you. Justice for Aisha, thank you for being with us. Shivana Singh, glad to have you here. Satya, thanks for being a subscriber here. We do appreciate that. Callie Vigtan, thanks for being with us. Sanitani Boy, thanks for being here. And thanks for being a subscriber. X, thanks for your support. Says, thank you, Modern Day Debate, for this. Thank you. That means a lot. I really do appreciate your kind words there. And Karan, thanks for dropping in. Hold You Close, Snowman, thanks for being here. And thanks for being a subscriber. Mohammed Ansari, thanks for being a subscriber with us. Ash R. Bish, thanks for being here, as well as Sanitani Boy and Moto Show, thanks for being subscribers. Mohammed Ghazni, thanks for being with us. And Baby Elephant, thanks for being with us. Thanks for being a subscriber. Sitaram Das, thanks for being a subscriber. Bob Bark says, unban my alt. Let me know what your alt is. I can't read your mind, so you'd have to tell me the name of it, right? Sunil M, thanks for dropping in. Sidaram Das, thanks for coming by. ABC FGG, thanks for dropping in. Thanks for being a subscriber. Want to say thank you guys for all your support. We are excited about the future. We have, in terms of upcoming debates, let's see here. We do have a popular duo. Last time their debate did really well. People really enjoyed it. They're going to be debating whether or not there's evidence for the resurrection. It's an atheist friend of the channel and a Christian friend of the channel. They'll be coming on this coming Saturday, September 7th. Wow, it's crazy that it's already September, isn't it? That went fast. So we're excited about that. And then possibly, uh, well, we're probably going to have two debates that day, but that one's still being finalized, so I don't want to announce it yet. But yeah, we might have two debates in the following weekend. So like I said, do hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on those debates, and then that way you basically are telling YouTube, hey, I want more. Give me more of that. Send those into my recommendeds. And then hey, the nice thing is you can always, if you see it in your recommendeds, you don't want it, you don't have to click it, but at least keeps it there so that way you don't miss out on anything. And let's see here. But yes, closing that poll, I want to say thank you guys for your support. Houston Euler, thanks for coming by. Says, announce the poll. The replay people cannot see the results. So the results were, does Islam promote sex slavery? That's in the live chat. And the results were, as you can see, I'll read them out loud in case you can't see the live chat. There's 79% yes, 11% no, 5% say, I'm still not sure. And then 3% say, I don't care. I'm a soy-addled beta. I want to say thank you guys, whether you be a soy addled beta or otherwise. We appreciate you being here. It's always fun at Modern Day Debate. We are YouTube's premier and only neutral debate platform, fully neutral. moderators being neutral, also our content. We don't have any videos that are like, oh man, Islam is so lame, or atheism is so lame, or Hinduism is so lame. We don't have any videos like that. No one-sided videos. If we ever host anything, period, it doesn't matter what the topic is, we are going to let both sides have their chance to make their case on a level playing field. That's the difference between modern day debate and every other channel, every other debate channel, even like these like high level ones like Intelligence Squared. I wouldn't say they're biased, because I have seen, I was like, oh, that's interesting. They did an interview where like the interviewer is asking these like softball questions. They're not really giving them a case of their own. They're just kind of letting the person make their case by interviewing them. And it's like, this isn't a debate. This is just an interview where you're letting one side have. So I got to tell you, these other channels like Intelligence Squared, I don't buy it that they actually are fully neutral. We are the only fully neutral channel on YouTube. We might disagree on religion. We might disagree on Islam, Hinduism, Christianity, atheism, or politics, whatever it is. But we all agree on this. We all want everybody to have their fair shot to make their case. It's the only thing that's perfectly fair and balanced, as it should be. So I want to say thank you guys for your support. We're excited about the future, as modern day debate is just going to continue growing. No matter how many roadblocks are put in our way, we are a huge locomotive barreling down the tracks, and modern day debate is going to make a difference, as YouTube needs a fully neutral debate platform, and we're going to give it to them. So thank you for your support, and we will see you at the next debate.